You're listening to Power Athlete Radio, a podcast dedicated to empowering your performance every damn day. Join former NFL pro and Power Athlete founder John Welborn as he dissects the greatest minds in strength, conditioning, and more. So whether your goal is to be the hammer, destroy mediocrity, or simply move the dirt, you've come to the right place. Now with the warm-up done, let the gains begin.
Hey, Mr. McPhee, what's happening?
What is happening?
Welcome back to Power Athlete Radio, episode 800.
Yes, let's go 800. I love this.
We've been doing this a number of years, as you know, 800 podcasts, but I knew 800 was coming up, and when you told me you were coming in town, I was like, dude, I can think of nobody better after seeing all of the clips from our last podcast get stolen on TikTok. I see them all the time, and I'm like, motherfucker, they're stealing our clips.
They're better at marketing than we are, these fucking kids. You know what I mean?
Dude, these
so
kids
crafty.
are at home just fucking wizards.
And they can do it faster than you. Like, how did there's all these clips like the next day. And you're like, you know how much work I think that, I think it's a lot of work, but like, that's a lot of work to do all them clips in like one day and put them all out, but they're amazing.
Dude, do they use some form of AI? I mean, is it some form of artificial intelligence?
Yeah, it's UFO shit. You know what I mean? I don't know. Some shit we don't know about. That's
I feel like we're just a little bit over the hump on this thing. And when I plug in and I look at it, but then when I watch these kids work, I'm like, God damn it, these kids are like wizards with this stuff.
Or they come out with a clip and you're like, why didn't I think of getting that clip? You know what I mean?
Like, Jacob, I'll send him to Jacob. I'll be like, Jacob, we got to get these clips. He's like, God damn it, these kids are good.
Why didn't we think of this? And it's like, yeah, that was a good clip, you know?
So what was the kind of impact, hysteria, buzz? I mean, you went on Sean Ryan's show, which is a big show, and then you went on the biggest show with Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
Was there any interesting kind of developments, fallout? Like, what was the hysteria?
Yeah. So Joe was right. I got a ton of offers on a book. I think overall it was just great, like all positive stuff. You know what I mean? And then I didn't set out to meet Joe. We were just at the F1.
I know. We were there
drinking mimosas. I was trying to get that ice cream sandwich. And
that was a good ice cream sandwich.
They were great, right?
Yeah,
So like kind of never set out to do it, but it's all been positive, man. It's been great. Like, my classes, I've been filling classes for a long time, so it's kind of steady state for me. And I'm only one person. I do small classes. I can only reach so many people.
How many people are in each class?
10 normally.
Nice.
10 or less, yeah.
So how many classes are you teaching this week?
Okay, so I got like 2 pistols, and then I got to stitch them up, which is 2 to the body, 1 to the head.
Yeah, little Mozambique.
Yeah, the Mozambique, but I'll show you how to do it better.
Okay.
Like, hey, the Mozambique is bullshit. I'll show you something better.
All right.
And well,
is it called the McPhee?
I call them stitch them up.
3 shots right to the balls.
I do agree some people should be shot in the dick. I cannot disagree with that. However, no, it's I call it the stitch 'em up because it's more descriptive of what you're doing. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. You're trying to shoot these 3 quick shots. Let's see. I have a rifle class, the standing, kneeling, prone.
Nice.
This is always fun. This is 100 yards. I do this when I get a new rifle or sight, and I'm just kind of breaking it in. I'll shoot some groups at 100. I'll move up to 50, shoot some groups from the kneeling, move up to 25, and just check my score. Just kind of, I do it playing around, and then sometimes I'm not playing around, and I shoot great. Sometimes I'm playing around, I shoot great. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But it's just like shaking out the rifle. So I turned that into a class a couple years ago.
What rifle are you shooting these days?
I have a legal 16-inch, just 5.56 AR in my van. I have an old EOTech on it, and I have a magnifier, and that's kind of all I'm running. I got a brake for suppressor on it too.
Yeah,
every gun should be suppressed.
Yeah, no,
Trump, where are you at on this? Make this happen. Let's go. Let's go.
When I see people without suppressors, I'm like, ooh.
I know. It's like so crude. And then there's
like,
some people.
Savages.
I know. And then some guys will come to class and they'll have this like fucking break on the end where it's going to amplify the sound times 5.
Yeah, you're sitting next to him and you feel like you got like concussions.
I'm leaning back, like trying not to look. Yeah, go. Yeah. But
no, I've been on the range where those dudes have those breaks and it like kicks out and you feel like you're getting a concussion. You're like, God damn it.
And what's funny is no one wants to stand around them.
Yeah.
Like everybody's like, I'm just going to give this guy a little room, you know. But I got the standing, kneeling, prone, and I think I got a carbine class. And I got some private days where kind of same thing. I teach same classes normally, but like sometimes families hire me, sometimes a group of buddies or whatever. So
nice.
Yeah, out of Bastrop here.
Yeah, no, I went to. I think we were setting up. I've been out to a couple courses.
Yeah.
That's a good spot.
It's a great spot. It's a great range.
Yeah, yeah,
and if you're not in class, well, you're late. You know what I mean? Sorry, and it's probably full. So sorry. You know what I mean? You're late. You're late.
How many classes a year you think you teach?
Oh man, I think last year I probably did maybe 70. I was doing 100, and I've been trying to cut it back a little bit, only because, like, I don't know, it's just a lot of days on the range, you know what I mean? And then I travel, and then it's being gone, so I'd like to slow down a little bit, but normally I think this year I'll probably end up with like 70 classes.
So take me through, obviously people show up, you do, a little bit of like firearm safety, like, you give everybody a little, pre-action fucking pep talk.
I love this. Yeah, I do this every day. Yeah.
Don't be weird.
Yeah. Okay, so starts out, I play a video with the range rules. You know what I mean? Normally the NRA does 4 rules. I have 9. The 4 rules don't tell you how to conduct the range, how to be safe. Right, so I kind of explained to everybody, like, the goal is to have fun and be safe, and there's a way to do that. I kind of give those like couple things to the people, right? And then I'll normally have the nearest hospital on my map. I pull it up, give the medical brief, right? Life, limb, or eyesight, or not, and then I kind of don't say anything to anybody, right? And I tell them what they need, right? 3 rounds, gun in the holster, and I tell them we're going to move up, draw, shoot, and I'm going to make a video, right? And I get out the timer, the beep happens, they draw, they shoot their 3 rounds, and I kind of don't say anything. And then once I get all the videos, I just want to see what everyone's habits are. You know, what do you do? What do you really do? You know, and it's the same in jiu-jitsu when someone asks a question and the instructor's like, show me, grab him, show me first, right? Because it's like, well, they're asking the question, but do you really know what they're saying? Like, there's some, I don't know, sometimes in language there's ambiguity. It's just how it is, right? Sure. So, so I'll take the video and then we'll come back and then we'll just dissect all the videos, see what we see. I normally talk about 4 big things: stance, how you stand; grip, how you hold, right? The draw, the technique of getting the gun to your face, getting it out there, and then eyes. Biggest conversation I'll have is eyes. Most people don't see as good as they think they do, to include me. You know what I mean? Sure. And we'll have a conversation about eyes. And then the rest of the day, we're kind of off to the races. And at the end of the day, we'll close out with a video, and you'll look a million times better. Like, the video at the end of the day it's 100 people ask me, hey, just show me a good video. I got this. And you're like, are you crazy? You watch the Food Channel, you couldn't make fucking toast. I know you can't do shit. And this is the video you think you're going to watch and just fucking, you got this, right? Yeah. Like, it doesn't work that way, right?
Very few people have the ability to watch something and mimic. We interrupt this episode with a shameless self-promotion. Let me introduce you to our Holistic Athlete Movement Readiness Program, also known as HAMMER. Created after working extensively with Naval Special Warfare, the U.S. Army, Marines, and first responders. HAMMER is battle-tested training sharpened at the highest level, delivering when it counts. If you're a warfighter, door kicker, or first responder, head to powerathletehq.com/HAMMER and claim your 7-day free trial today. Now back to the show.
No one does. No,
that's not true. I've seen it in the NFL.
Oh.
I've seen guys watch film, and then all of a sudden I've seen people like watch somebody, and then they're able to kind of go out and mimic their stance and mimic their play a little bit.
Oh,
and that was we used to call them autistic parrots, like where they could go out and I'd be like, oh, like, and we would do it as jokes, and I'm like, hey, so and so does this, and then we'd like kind of like pretend if we could do it, and then we go back and watch film and call people on it. So
fake them out.
There, I mean, but you're talking about pretty good athletes that are watching film and trying to mimic. So I think that if people do learn by watching, but I think the problem is you have to be super in tune to all the little things. Like you can't look at it as a generalist. You got to look and be like, all right, like if my toes are straight forward, my knees are tracking over my insteps, what does this position look like? Can I do this? But they also have to train.
Right.
Like the one thing which is pretty fascinating in jiu-jitsu is, and you saw this with like Felipe and those guys, like their game becomes very like unique to them, but there's a lot of elements that are similar because the way that Shanji and like Lovato and those guys have taught them. You can almost watch like the guard pass and some of these things, like the way that Shanji does things. I watch other people do them and I'm like, oh, that's got a little Shanji stamp on him. I like that.
Yeah. So the end of the day video is I try to get you to do it as good as possible because you can replicate that easier than anything else you watch, right?
Sure.
So, and then it also becomes like generally an audio track if you want to dry fire. Hit play. It's me talking you real time. You do whatever, right? So that's generally how my day goes.
So for me, because I don't get to the range maybe about once a month, I dry fire at least 3 to 4 days a week. So I'll take like I got my pistol rig, I put it on there, and basically just work on the draw stroke, like nice and slow. Like I've always believed that if it's more important for you to teach your body movement than it is speed.
Correct.
Like we learned that playing football, that if I can do it perfectly slow and I can do it to the point where it's just automatic, like speed happens. Like speed can be done. Like you don't have to try to be fast. You know, Correct. The old, slow is smooth is fast.
Yeah.
I've bought into that 100%, and I've seen it even more in jiu-jitsu. That like if I can like do exactly what he wants slow, like I don't need somebody to coach me on speed.
Correct.
But I think in the shooting thing, like the mechanics to be able to do it and watch and like, be able to have somebody give feedback. Like shooting is, to watch people that are really good pistol shooters is, it's so automatic.
Yeah. It's an art and science. I always say, when you learn to shoot, you get just be accurate. That's what someone says. Just be accurate. When I was a new guy, just be accurate. The speed will come later, but you never get the speed lesson because
when you got into obviously, if you think about when you go to Delta, you're kind of like it's a little bit different than the SEALs. You go through buds and they go through this kind of maturation process that builds them in. I mean, Delta is kind of different where they're kind of recruiting for everybody. So you're already pretty high speed, or at least I would imagine you're proficient with weapons when you get there. Was there like a massive upstep? Was there everything you learned before this is fucking dead now?
Fucking garbage. It's fucking
and then they
garbage.
got there.
I like once in a while, like SEALs cross over from Team 6. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, you got to think it's the highest the Navy has. They cross over, and like any shooting you learn doesn't compare to these fucking guys. Like, and that's what the unit does, is the shooting. You know what I mean? So I can only imagine, like, you think like you're in the Army. I was a rifleman and a ranger and a special forces guy, right? Like I'm fucking dog shit day one with a pistol, just like everyone else.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, but it's a training progression, and it's okay if you suck, because the way it starts is everybody sucks. You just got to get better in the time you got.
Was that like a kind of a kick to the nuts for everybody where you're like,
oh, fuck yeah.
And you show up and you're like, God damn it.
Oh, hell yeah.
Or you're seeing the guys that are super proficient. You're like, God, this guy's over here like a fucking wizard.
Well, you go to the first pistol class, and these guys, the instructors are out there just fucking gunning shit down with ease. And you're like, yeah, I can do that. You can't do that. Right. Like, what I would say is, like, they know you're only going to suck for so long because they're going to show you how to do it, and that's the whole goal of it. The goal isn't to, keep you sucking forever. The goal is to see what you do and go, hey, here's kind of how we do it here and why. And this normally has better results. And then when you have a crew of professional guys, they're going to figure the rest out.
Yeah,
I think.
So what was the preferred weapon when you were there?
The fucking 1911 God's gun. You know what I mean?
Really?
Like, fuck yeah. John Wayne shit, baby.
Dude, shooting 45s, huh?
Yeah.
Or were they shooting like, what was it, like 2011s, or what do they call it?
No, we had fucking
shooting 45s.
45s, 230 grain ball. That's what the Army buys.
So that's what you're basically shooting anvils at people.
Yeah. We're throwing them fucking anvils everywhere, little Volkswagens.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what we shot, man. And they were nice guns, they were gone over by the armorers, like race guns. I don't know what you call it, but they were great guns. But you shot 45, man. Fucking hang on. You know what I mean? Like, and the ammo wasn't anything special. We just shot ball most of the time. You know what I mean? Why? Is because 1911s traditionally, because of the feed ramp, don't do good with hollow points. Mm-hmm. So you shot ball. But kind of nothing sexy about it except for the fact that it was God's gun. They probably weighed 5 pounds. You got really strong arms hanging out, strong wrists from fucking that thing beating on your hands all day. I would tell you is like, I never knew this, but every fucking inch of that gun had to be sanded, smoothed, fucking rounded. Because when you shoot all day, every day, especially when your hands get sweaty and soft, you don't realize how that shit could fucking cut your hands. And like those guys had that shit to a fucking science. Like just a holding the gun, how it doesn't fuck up the hand or anything like that.
So then when you deployed and went over, obviously in harm's way, that's what you carried?
My first couple, it was no, I carried a G19 because it weighs fucking 5 pounds.
Yeah.
It's only a backup. I'm a rifleman. My rifle is not going to jam because I'm a rifleman. So it's like the pistol's kind of like if the rifle goes tits up, you basically have the pistol to kind of fight back into a position to get your primary back up. It's just a backup. And now back in the 90s, pre-war, like we treated that shit like it was a fucking primary. You know what I mean? And I'd tell you if you had 2 45s, you could count one as a primary for sure, in my opinion. But I don't think rifles are so much easier to shoot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The rifle kind of wins the day, and that's where we are today.
Yeah. So when you go teach your courses, obviously you're teaching it to civilians mostly?
Anyone can sign up, but most of my classes are half kind of police, law enforcement, half kind of civilian.
What would you say like the level of proficiency of the people that show up? Is it like surprisingly good or surprisingly bad?
Yeah, on a scale of 1 to 10, I'd say most people think they're a 5 or 6. You know, like they do pretty good with a gun. Those people are generally 2s. Most people are shockingly bad.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And I just think it's a level of understanding that people don't have, like common knowledge. Like people hunted on the way to school in my generation, right? You could bring a shotgun to school because you had a hunt on the way to school because your family's got to eat, right? So, and I have buddies that did this. So I think just guns in America used to be because people needed to eat, right? And then nowadays, I just don't think it's knowing how to handle a firearm isn't a household thing anymore.
We were talking a little bit before this. You said that there were about 20,000 people in the NRA?
Well, no, not in the NRA, but the core of the gun world.
You think it's only about 20,000?
Yeah,
that number seems so low to me. I mean,
telling you.
They estimate there's 300 million guns in this country.
Yeah.
I kind of imagine probably 10 million people own 300 million.
No, everybody owns guns. I mean, I would say...
How many gun owners do you think are in this country?
Fuck 100 million.
So 100 million, but...
Yeah, 2 out of 3.
So
American.
So there's 100...
I would guess, I don't know.
So there's 100 million gun owners, but only 20,000 you believe actively shoot?
Yeah, actively come to classes, train, right? Like, are what people would call prepared or trained or... Yeah, it's a really small number. And I think it changes, and I think as guys get older, they kind of don't do it anymore, and it's more of a younger guy sport.
Sure. Is that just from a durability factor, or?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I mean, you want to be outside all day, every day, running around, and then, you got a bad knee or something. It's not fun.
Well, I mean, think about how many people do jiu-jitsu in this country. I mean, it's probably... I don't know, man. I was trying to ask Shanji on the numbers, and he should know. I'm sure Lovato knows, and those guys. But I mean, would you think that there's maybe 300,000, 500,000 people actively doing jits in this country?
Oh,
you think that many? Let's look that up.
I don't know. That's a great question. I don't know. I would say jits is bigger than shooting, and only why is because there's a dojo in every town. Dude, most towns do not have ranges.
I was just up in LA. I was telling you, I went up and saw that Stratosphere and went Dr. Sabine, and we pulled in to go to this like place that my wife wanted to go for breakfast, and there was like a jiu-jitsu place in there. So I walked over and I was like checking to see if they had open mat, because I bring my backpack and I got like my no-gi and my no-gi gear in. I was like kind of hoping. I was
Why
like,
not?
I was kind of hoping that like we were there like 10 in the morning and like their open mat was at noon, and I was like, fuck, because if open mat was right then, I would have been like, hey, you guys hang out, eat breakfast. I'm gonna go try to choke some fucking guys out.
Yeah, get the pancakes. I'll be right back.
Exactly. How many people?
There's about 1 million jiu-jitsu fighters or jiu-jitsu practitioners in the world, and there's 82 million Americans that own a weapon. So comparison.
Wait, say that again. How many? There's 500,000?
There's 82 million Americans who own a gun, and 1 million jiu-jitsu fighters.
Okay.
So that's it. 82 million people need training with a firearm. You know what I mean? Minus me, I think. You know what I mean?
Fuck. So 82 million people are gun owners, and they estimate 300 million. So that's like what's that?
But think about this: 1 million people do jujitsu. See what I'm saying, right? Was it 1 million? Okay.
So what we need to do is turn those 1 million people into proficient with guns.
That's what I'm talking about.
So
that's what I've been saying.
So how do we find the jiu-jitsu people that are obviously proficient in jits, but then we get them to actually be proficient with firearms?
Well, I think it works like this. The people that do jits, I would call practitioners. The people that own firearms would call owners. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And you got to get people to be practitioners to come out and learn. And I think that's like, so anyone could go buy a gun, but like knowing how to use it in your house. I mean, there's probably households out there where no one really knows how to use it well, or load, clear, unload, basics.
So
you know what I mean?
What are they doing with the guns?
Well,
I think they buy them
they wrap it in a microfiber towel, because that's what Grandpa did, and they leave it in the book chest in case of, intruders. I don't know. Like, I don't know the fucking people. I ain't doing no shit like that. But I would imagine, like, don't you think, like, I mean, the average person in the United States, I would say, most veterans would own a rifle, I would say, like some type of service rifle or something, and some type of service pistol, or at least be familiar with it. But what about people that, their family wasn't a cop or first responder, or where do they even get their knowledge from? I don't know. So
my dad was a criminal defense attorney, and was actually, I think back about it, was kind of liberal in a lot of ways. Didn't believe in that people should own firearms. So I ended up learning to shoot at Boy Scout camp, and I was like a pretty good shot. And I remember we learned to shoot arrows, like rifle shot, basically did all that. And then when I went to college, I took all this like kind of constitutional stuff, and I'm reading John Locke, and I'm reading, Thomas Jefferson and all this. And this was a massive deal for the guys, for the right to bear arms. I mean, the Second Amendment was put in place for the first, and like, there's so much discussion of the Second Amendment, that I realized that as a taxpayer, if you're going to live in this country, that your right to bear arms is not just a right, it's actually a civic duty to own weapons and to be proficient with them. So I remember thinking like, well, when I make some money and I start paying taxes, I'm going to own weapons. So I ended up, when I got to the NFL, and I remember I got my first check, and the government took a massive dose of it. I went to the gun shop, and I was in Pennsylvania, which is a little bit better than owning one in New Jersey. And actually, I bought a handgun, and ended up from there like learning to shoot. But the problem is, I didn't really know how to shoot. Right. It wasn't until like later.
See, that's what I'm saying.
Well,
practitioners versus owners.
Well, I was a good shot, but I didn't know how to shoot, because also like there was no drawing out of a concealed carry, like out of a holster. Like you can't go to a range and fucking draw out of a holster.
Or where could you go move around a house and figure out how to move around a house with a gun?
So it wasn't until when I went to Kansas City, we were kitty corner from a shooting range, and we used to go over there, and the law enforcement guys were like in the basement. We go shoot with them.
The bullet hole. Is it the bullet hole?
Yeah.
Did it have the water to catch the fucking bullets?
Yeah, down. Yeah.
Oh my God!
Yeah,
Maybe I shouldn't admit this, but I rent the basement in Kansas City.
Yeah.
Like if there's
we used to go to the bullet hole.
Yeah.
I lived right around the corner from there, and we'd go over there and we would shoot, and we'd let us go down to the basement, and the guys loved that we went in there, and then we would go out. Yeah. And so the bullet hole. That was our spot.
You're in the basement. I'm trying to teach class, and someone's upstairs with some fucking hand cannon, and it's like boom, and like dust falls, and everybody looks at me. I'm like, whatever. Don't breathe it in.
Yeah, those guys were great. I remember I went in there to buy a gun, and I was like, "Hey, I was like looking at it. He's like, I was like, I want to get this one. He's like, which one do you want? All of them? I'm like, can I buy all of them? He's like, you can buy as many as you want.
I'm like, let's go.
I was like, let's go. So then we would go in there and buy something weird. Like I bought, like one time I had a snub nose Smith & Wesson 500. I shot like one fucking box, and I went back in, and the guy's like, did you like it? I'm like, no, this thing, there's no way to carry this thing. No. But so then it wasn't until later that I ended up becoming friends with all the guys in like Andy Stumpf and those guys that were SEALs that were teaching in BUDS and second phase and that. And so actually it was actually shooting with those guys was the first time I got to go out to a range and shoot out of a holster and shoot concealed. And then I realized shooting with those guys exactly how bad the law enforcement was at shooting and how shitty my fucking up. So it was like it's been a process.
Yeah.
But I mean like where do you learn to shoot? I mean now we live here in Texas and I hunt every night, so it's not really a big deal anymore.
Yeah. No, but I think that's most people is they buy guns, but they don't have anywhere to actually train or learn it.
So what's the solution? I mean, I love sitting around and fucking talking about problems, but at the end of the day, like I think there has to be an actionable solution. I mean, think about.
Well, maybe I need to make some comprehensive videos that could walk someone through like the process. You know what I mean? No one really has that. I mean, I make a lot of gun videos, and I made a lot of videos for new people, like if you're going to buy a gun, hand size, gun size. I mean, I've made, I don't know, there's 600 videos on my app, but no one's really like, I don't know, like guns for dummies. I mean, because most gun guys are dummies, you know what I mean? And they only know. And I say they're dummies not because they're dumb as human beings. I say they're dummies in the sense that we were all told the same shit. You know what I mean? And it didn't work. So how do you get around that, right? And I think that's kind of what I do with the video is I have strategies that work. I just have to see your tendencies, right? And I could probably design a program for it. But I do think it's a major problem. Now, I will tell you, jiu-jitsu guys, in all my years of, like doing the NRA show, I'll give a speech. I'm always a keynote speaker. I just pick a topic. They just let me talk about shit. They're great. But like in all those years, I've had more jiu-jitsu guys come to the range with me than I have gun guys from an NRA show.
Really?
Yeah.
You mean because when you travel, you usually drop in and roll and take classes and that.
Yeah.
So when you're in there and you meet people that are, jits guys, those guys end up coming out to the range.
No, never one from a class that I go to have come to the range, like just random guys. Because I do jits, they come to me and they're like, hey, I do jits. I'm a cop. I wanted to learn, right?
Oh.
So what I'm telling you is practitioners will put in the time with a gun.
Yeah.
And I think that's the difference.
I mean, but
if you do anything with guns, you're a practitioner. You get so bashed on social media, and then like,
you listen to social media?
No, but at the same time, I ain't trying to put people that come train with me's faces on social media because maybe they don't want to get blasted in their hometown for just shooting 50 rounds one morning with me. You know what I mean? It's a slippery slope. I think.
I'm so constantly blown away by one that people give two shits. But the fact that you're out there exercising not only your constitutional right, but also I think it's irresponsible to own a weapon and not be able to use it in a safe manner. I think the same thing with a chainsaw. I think the same thing with your car. I think the same thing with a knife. I think everything. Yeah. Obviously we got a bunch of shit. Like I got chainsaws, and it's funny. I've had people come over, and I'm like, "Oh, you ever worked a chainsaw?" No, and I'm like, "Well, these ones are big, and they're fucking gonna hurt you. These are big skills."
Yeah,
but then I've also had people come over, and they're like, "Oh yeah, no, I run these bitches. Let's go. Let's fucking fire them up." So it's pretty interesting. Where same with welding and this. I mean, I can tell you within an inch of my life how many hours somebody has under a barbell by how they approach it. Like I can watch somebody go get under a
How
barbell.
many arm raise did I have when I approached? Tell me, what did I look like?
No, what you look like is a dude that probably had never been coached to lift weights.
No, yeah, that's right.
I mean, so like I can tell you 100% because you kept looking over your shoulder at me, and then I remember I got in real close and I was like, "Don't worry about it, you'll be fine. I'll tell you if something's weird."
Yeah,
you know?
I was like,
yeah, you're like, what the fuck? But like that's a big deal too.
Yeah, in the Army we just go do it.
Yeah, you just go do it. But like same with whether it be like like you have somebody like weld. I mean, like, what is this? Like you can tell pretty quick what somebody's level of proficiency is, and especially with guns. Like I was telling you, I went to shoot that. The qual to get my concealed weapons in California, which was an absolute fucking nightmare, and to see how nervous people were, and I was like, why the fuck? Like if you're not actively shooting, why the fuck are you getting a CCW? I would almost think like, and this is something I was going to ask you. Like, do people in their mind think that they're going to get a CCW? They're going to all of a sudden put the pistol in their, like in their pants, and now all of a sudden something bad's going to go down, and they're going to be like fucking John Wick.
Everyone's John Wick. You know what I mean? Everyone's John Wick. Everyone thinks the fancier I name a class, the more people just want to sign up for that bitch. And
give me some examples.
The Stitch 'em Up class will fill over the pistol one day class. But the pistol one day class is 80% of the Stitch 'em Up. And you know what I mean? So like, but people, it's got to have a catchy name. People need that flash. It's the world we live in. Like if you ain't grabbing that attention, but I would say the people sign up for the most complicated shit. No, most of the time they have no idea what they're signing up for. Like the standing, kneeling, prone. Like once in a while I'll get a guy like, I can't lay in the prone. And I'm like, the title is standing, kneeling, prone. What did you think we were going to do today? Like,
what do you mean he can't lay down on his stomach?
Yeah, like a guy will have neck issues where he just can't get behind the gun, or sometimes guys have bad knees. They can't kneel. Yeah. And it's like, the title is standing, kneeling, prone. What did you think we were going to do here today, right? Like, so sometimes, I don't know. I always say guys like, they like want to do stuff and they're so gung-hoing in that they sometimes miss the finer points. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Like you should have a fairly decent amount of physical fitness. You should have fairly decent amount of mobility. Yeah. Maybe proficiency and maybe an attitude where you're like, hey man, I don't know shit. I'm gonna ruin my ego and just fucking be your vessel.
Yo, I could run the world with a bunch of motherfuckers just like that. Where are these guys at? Keep sending them my way. You know what I mean? But I'd run the world with guys like that. But that's not how most people are these days. And, I teach classes every day, and I got to be honest, I'm so grateful. I have great days on the range. Like, the weather's beautiful. I get really nice people, but I would say the general public is undertrained. And I think the general mindset is money or gear or better guns or better magazines or better belts or holsters. A lot of times that will buy you skill. And that's kind of another thing people think they can buy skill, right? And you don't see that in jits because it ain't that gi stopping Sanji from choking your fucking ass. It ain't that fucking it ain't that pearl weave or whatever the fuck those things are, right? Like But this is real, and I run into this all the time, and I think this is why I like the jits world and hanging out in the jits world, even though I teach shooting and I like guns and I like the gun world. But okay. Someone comes to the range. You put a gun in their hand. Sam Colt says we're all equal. It's true.
Yeah.
This is real talk. This is true. Okay. However, we're all equal until someone figures out how to use this motherfucker at lightning speed, and then you're fucking dog shit.
Yeah.
And then you're in the same boat. So here's what I'm saying is all men are created equal until a guy learns how to train a little bit. Then we're not equal anymore because I am superior because I was ready for this moment. And it's the premise of anything. Okay, the dojo, same thing, right? You walk in there, you see Victor and Sanji. It ain't Victor's rash guard. You know what I mean? Yeah. It ain't his tight lime green T-shirt. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's his fucking body smashing my fucking face, Yeah. So with jiu-jitsu, people understand the man can be the weapon, and the man needs to be trained. But with guns, Everyone thinks they're equal.
What,
and then they don't
what do they
shit.
think that like I just don't shoot this gun well? This gun will make me a better shot.
Yeah, or like better. I'll put better sights on it, or we'll use like ammo. Remember back in the day, like the black Talon ammo goes through body armor. Like they all do. Like come on, you know. Like so. I think there's some myth involved, but I honestly think like the gun world is the gun equalizes everybody where everyone knows, you know, Victor, Sanji, Philippe, these guys are highly trained individuals to do what they do. It's the same with a pistol. You know, the better you are, right? Like so, but I think the big difference for me in the gun world is we're equal because I got this gun, and if we're equal, why would I listen to you? I also think with the gun world where I work, it's the ultimate in play pretend. There's no truth, right?
It's like in jits, you suck, you get choked.
Hey, Rafael Lovato says this all the time. The mat is truth.
Yeah.
We are truly about to see what's going to happen. You know what I mean?
I've been ducking Lovato for years. He's always like, "Oh, you going to come up to Oklahoma?" I'm like, "No, it's a far drive." But
it's so cold up there. But he says the mat is truth, right? Okay, think about this: gun games. It's the ultimate in play pretend. How many people are pulling guns, playing John Wick, and mowing dudes down by Starbucks? Nobody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's the ultimate in play pretend as well, I think. And then I think those are my major hurdles to get people to the range, to train, and then I do a fucking good job of it. And then, like, I've been filling classes for a long time, but it's just because, like, I provide no shit. This is what you did. We look at the video. This is what I would give you for some best practices. And as soon as you try that and them bullets go right to the middle of the target, you're fucking hooked just like this is like some crazy crack, or it's therapy is what it is. But once you get the first round in there, like you do everything right and it hits the middle, someone's like, I see what you're talking about now.
Yeah.
And then that's more repeatable from then on. You know what I mean?
So, I'm still having a hard time wrapping my head around this 20,000. I mean, you're talking like 80 million gun owners and 20,000. I mean, that's like 0.001%. I mean, that's such a small amount of people.
I believe the NRA did a study on this and put it out a couple of years ago.
I mean, obviously you live here in Texas. I mean, we have land like we kill shit. I kill pigs. I mean, I kill everything. And like I have rigs set up to shoot at night. I got rigs to shoot it during the day.
Yeah, but you're not in that 20,000 because you shoot at home.
That's true.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, like we have suppressors, and my son's like, "Let's go out and shoot 22s," and we go out and we plank and shoot. Yeah,
let's go schwack a hog.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? We need some bacon.
Yeah.
But you're probably not in that 20,000 because you shoot at home. And a lot of people who shoot at home don't understand why they need training either.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they've never had any trouble. They shoot guns. I could hit the can at 50 yards.
No, but there's also a difference. I think you have to go to classes like yours, and I've been to a bunch. I mean, I've done them with Jeff Gonzalez, and I went to Mid-South, and which was pretty fun for a week. Yeah. Craig Douglas, and so I've been to courses. I think you have to go there to be judged by somebody, and more importantly, be in a pressure situation where somebody's expecting you. Because if I go out and shoot in the backyard, like you miss, there's no big deal, right? But when you go to a class and you're standing in a line, you have an instructor and somebody coaching you, you're putting yourself out there. It's like the difference of like, hey, I'm just going to go, Shanji was telling me that there's like a bunch of guys now where they don't really belong to a school. They just like watch jiu-jitsu instructionals, and then they go to open mats.
Watch BJJ fanatics, and then they come in with a move that no one can defend,
and then they go to open mats.
I know.
And they just go to open mats.
I love this.
And then they just watch YouTube videos and BJJ fanatics, and then they just show up with like one fucking move.
Yeah.
I'm going to work on this move.
And the kid hits me with it, and I get my way out of it, and he's like, "You just got out of the whatever mata plata bada," and I'm like, was that arm thing? And the kid would be like, yeah. And I'd be like, I'm just trying to pull it out. I was just getting it back.
But so I like I agree like when I was talking with Shanji about it, he's like, yeah, there's like this new kind of like breed of jiu-jitsu where they just watch instructionals, they watch YouTube videos, they pick up a move and then they go to open mats and they try to move it. And he's like, there's like they're not really students, they're not learning the technique and like the flow, they're not really learning a style, they're just like move collectors or submission hunters, or just
it's not helpful because you need people for jiu-jitsu. You need partners. You need guys to come to dojo. You need all size people. You need to be able to, figure out, a guy like your size, 2-on-1, stay on the outside. Like, you know what I mean? I don't want Victor smashing me. I'm going to do everything I can to avoid that with a bigger guy, right? Yeah. A smaller people, right? Or I really lump people into kind of 3 categories. Smaller people where you could just crush them. It's size and strength. Like say it whatever you want. There's a limit. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like it's like the wrestler kid at 220 who comes in and beats everyone in the dojo. Not one fucking day of jiu-jitsu, right? Like why is that, right? But I think there's some of that. But I also think like some of those guys, like they miss the practice and the me helping you helping me, and then like the leverage, like. If you miss the we're doing this together piece also for your partners, right? Why would anyone want to fucking help you? Yeah. You know what I mean? If you're not a good partner, why would anyone want to do fuck all with you? You know what I mean? And I think that's the piece they miss. You know what I mean? Now, I do think like watching those videos and trying to master one move, well, I think that's game plan development to a certain point. But you might only need 20% of that versus... it's your 100% or something, so, okay, good piece of training, you know what I mean? But the other 75% of your time is wasted, fuck all, doing nothing, like, you won't go anywhere.
Well, but I mean, there's more than just a finishing move. So there's
agreed.
like, like passing, getting to a position, trying to this. And I think what I like so much about, Shanji and Lovato and like, Salo and their like that system, it's very like there's a goal in the system. Like I'm in this position, I'm fighting back to this position, I'm trying to get here. And I think what's, I was telling somebody this the other day on a consult, I can now gauge where somebody is in terms of belt based on where they can submit me from. Like if you're a blue belt, you might only have submissions from the top or maybe 1-2 submissions from the bottom. So I don't really have to like worry. I can kind of put my head into weird places and I can kind of like pass and smash and do this. And then they get to be purple belt and they got more submissions. And then with like, the brown belts, obviously more. And then you get to like Philippe and the guys and like they can submit you from anywhere. Yeah. So like the minute that I get into a position, I think, okay, I like this one. I'm going to start working from here. They snatch you.
Yeah, they hustle you along.
And I feel like that's so now, because, we do a lot of no-gi and gi, and obviously in the no-gi, I don't necessarily know what type of belts people are, especially new people. Right. But then you can kind of roll with them and I can kind of gauge a little bit like, okay, yeah, like this is where like this guy's belt makes sense. And it's usually about what submissions they have from where. And then like on an occasion, somebody will like do something where I'll be like, wow, I didn't see this guy having this fucking submission.
Fucking fantastic.
Yeah, I was like, great one. And then I laugh.
I will every time. I did this to Lovato. I don't even know what he did to me, but it was just like fantastic jiu-jitsu where you can't stop it. And it's happening even though it's in slow motion and it's happening. And then finally I started laughing and he was like, what's so funny? I just tackled him again. Hit him, tackled him again, just went at him again. Like fucking when people hit me with fantastic jiu-jitsu, you can't stop it. Yeah. Like I fucking love that, man. I also love one other time is like, I call it real survival mode. Like fucking, Victor's mounting me, smashing my head. He's got an arm over my head for the 17th time. He keeps telling me, he keeps getting my arm, but I keep trying to fight it, but he keeps getting my arm, even though he's telling me he's going to get my arm. And then like, or Sanji, and then they get the choke, and it may be in or it's not tight, and you're trying to get it off, and they have that one more move, and like your world starts shrinking, and I do I have enough time to even tap in this situation? If yes, like try to make better. If no, tap. And then sometimes like I'm all mauled up in there, like my hands are somewhere. Like I can't even get a hand out to tap. You know what I mean? Yeah. Man, I had this kid hit me with, I don't know what it was, but he had his gi around my chin, and he had me like, I don't know, kind of guillotine, but with my gi, and it was around my chin, so it wasn't really around my throat, so like I could breathe. It was just kind of weird, and he pulled it, and it hit something inside here, and it caused this like gag reflex, and I like jerk up like twice, and then like I just tapped, and he was like, "Are you all right?" And I'm like, "It's some weird reflex. I couldn't stop." Like I wasn't like, he wasn't choking me or nothing, but it caused me to like jerk twice, and I was like, "That's the fucking weirdest thing in jiu-jitsu ever." But
we interrupt this episode with a shameless self-promotion. Are you pushing through performance roadblocks caused by pain or janky movement mechanics? Knock the rust off with our movement health courses, used by thousands of athletes worldwide, from average Joes to MVPs. Our courses give you the tools to assess and fix yourself so you can get back to break-in necks and cash in checks. Not convinced? Get a taste of how our courses can help you by enrolling in a free sample today. Head to powerathletehq.com and search courses from the menu. Now back to the show.
When I'm in real survival mode, I'm not thinking about my phone. I'm not thinking about
social media.
Fucking none of it. You know what I mean? And it's such that like, it's so clarity for me. And even though the clarity is like, you better fucking tap quick or you're going to pass the fuck out. And then Sanji's got to wake you up, and that would be embarrassing. So tap.
Well, the shitty thing is when I roll with Shanji and the guys, they actually always fucking smash me with the most basic jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of where, I've like people refer to their, to like the style that those guys do is very classic, very clean, very classic jiu-jitsu. And it's because it's like, it's not basic, but like they do like the basics and the classic stuff so well, like it's so elegant. And that's, Lovato's, timeless jiu-jitsu. Like there's nothing fancy. Like he's going to basically get you inside control and mount you and then cross collar choke you. And like he's submitted a lot of people like that.
Choke.
Yeah, like a triangle, fucking armbar. I mean, it's like, and then you hear all these like, crazy submissions, like, like Shanji's going against the boogeyman and his Google Plata, like the super rubber leg and these things. And it's like, nope, I mean, that stuff exists, but there's like a style of jiu-jitsu, which is pressure, pretty interesting when we were out at the UFC for Victor's Fight Pass where he went against Nicky Rod. Yeah. It's pretty interesting. Victor was playing bottom, playing guard, and he was
I watched the whole thing.
What we see? Did you see how high head they were? They were like hip extension, like really high head, and like that's the exact opposite of how we play it, where we're constantly trying to close distance and go chest to chest and trying to like smash and then pass and trying to make it like like everything is like closer. Away, yeah. Like the analogy I give is, and I was telling Shanji that movie, The Professional, remember with, what was it, Natalie Portman and that French dude?
French dude.
Yeah. Do you remember he's teaching her to be an assassin? Yeah. And they start with the rifle, and he's like, the better you get, the closer you get. And then when you learn the knife is when you're at your final, like expert level. Yeah. That's the same thing. Shanji's like, when the jiu-jitsu gets as close as you can, like that's when like if you have to keep a lot of distance and a lot of, dancing or like playing away, and it's a lot of like peripheral jiu-jitsu, he's like, that's, obviously like the closer you get, the more, real it becomes.
Yeah, specialized. Every fucking piece needs to be,
It's fun. I mean, it's, I wish I could find a way to carve out to go like 5-6 days a week. For me, it's about 3. If I can get to 2 or 3 classes in an open mat, like everything works. But it's one of those things, because one day I got to roll twice. We were doing Victor's fight camp, so I went down there and basically body locked him for like 2 hours, and then we went up, and then I went to Shanji's class in the gi, and it was like one of the first times I'd done a double, and I was like, yes, finally. And it's a lot of fun, but it wouldn't be as fun if I didn't have the guys in the community in which we did. Right. If it wasn't Philippe and Arash and Victor and Shanji and those, like all the guys and Noah, like those are the people that make it fun. And it was funny when I was out with that meeting with Dr. Sabine yesterday. We were going through all my gut biome stuff, And so she was going through all the different pieces, and she was showing me hers. And so she's from North Africa. So she's like, oh, here's gut bacteria that's unique to people in this part of the world. And so she pulled me up, and I had the same gut bacteria. And she's like, how the fuck do you have this? And I'm like, has to be a rush. And then also I had 2 strains of gut bacteria that are unique to the Amazon.
Okay.
And she's like, I'm like, well,
Philippe, right?
Shanji's from Manaus.
Okay.
And Noah's from Manaus.
Okay.
So like 2 of the guys. And so what's interesting in the gut biome is it's not just you eat, it's actually the environments you are and the people that you're around. And you can basically through contact, I mean, like you're doing jits, you can start absorbing and like basically take on characteristics of other people. And so she went down and did the Doctors Beyond Borders. They were down in the Amazon. And so she was talking about like, the stool samples and all the, like the gut biome. And so she's like, the people here in the US, because of the way that we've lived, is very clean in a lot of ways. If you were to take those people and send them down into the Amazon, they have bugs and microbes and things that would literally just fucking wreck you. And so it was, what we were talking about was resilience. Yeah. So like you need like the more resilient you are.
I'd like to see my biome.
I want you to go get tested too. We're going to do another podcast. I have a theory. What I pitched her on, I want to do a podcast on kind of like longevity and performance. That I think that there are some characteristics of some things that you can look at that are indicative of people as they get closer to death, and like what is young and kind of young and old, and how you can kind of fine tune it. I think there's a real piece on like helping people have the most resilient gut bacteria they can, and then how you get there, and more importantly, because when I first reached out to her, I imagined that there was like a perfect human diet, right? That we'd be able to tell it. It's actually the one you're most adapted in. And so as we were going through my stuff, she was like, this is a little too high. You got to do this and this and this, and I want you to do this. And so she made modifications for me, but that's unique to me and every person. So I wonder if there's ever going to be like a database, almost like
the 80% for people.
Yeah. And be like, so one of the things that was interesting we got to is there was a certain bacteria that's associated with the microbes of like, let's say like bugs and plants and shitting on like, let's say like plants and vegetables and the whole thing. So she's like, this usually gets kind of high. So you got to make sure you wash all your green stuff or don't fucking eat it. And I was like, wait, what are you saying? And she's like, well, she's like, they found that this bacteria gets much higher the closer you get to death, because this is the bacteria that actually breaks the body down once it goes into the soil.
Fuck.
I was like, fuck, that's crazy. And so I asked her, I'm like, she's like, well, I need you to wash your vegetables more or just eat less vegetables. And I'm like, okay. So she's
cutting them veggies out, bitches.
I was like, fuck those veggies. We're getting rid of them. I was only eating them. But it's all unique to everybody. And so it's it was really pretty, it's neat when I get to go sit with somebody who fucking kind of blows your brain, which I'm kind of excited to come to your shooting thing on Friday so we can come out and shoot.
Yeah, I'll kind of give you the friends and family one over the world. So, you probably know how to shoot a little bit. So just play along. Might be a little boring for you.
But it's
what is not boring for you will be the absolute very specific things I will give you, just like the gut biome. I'm going to give you probably, I don't know, police academies. I give them 3 things it's the 80% for everyone to pass. I'll probably give you 4 things. You need eye issues. You got eye issues.
Do I?
Yeah.
Why do you say that?
8 out of 10, 9 out of 10 people I'm on the range with have eye issues.
I got laser eye surgery. I'm like 20/20.
Eyes issues. Eye issues. Hey, I'm telling you, 9 out of 10 people, to include me, you fucking people, and to include me, I'm not excluded from the eye. Yeah. Look, eyes, here's the way it works. Okay. The guy that told us how to shoot everything, here's how his eyes work. He has one good eye. That's his aiming eye. And if you ask him, scale of 1 to 10, how good is it? Motherfucker should say borderline 11 because it's that fucking good, But then his other eye, you ask him how good his other eye is, and it's shit. It's blurry, right? It's a fucking 8 at best. Okay, so he's got a good eye and a fucked up eye. Everyone else has got 2 fucking good eyes. So any eye can interfere in dominance. Your eyes work in stereo, the part of the brain that works. The eyes is part of the brain that works. The ears work in stereo. So if your brain just the way the brain sees your vision. If your eyes work in stereo, your eye neutral, you'll have eye issues with a gun. That's fucking 9 out of 10 people. And then the truth is your eyes, no one just fucking uses one eye. What are you, threading fucking needles all day long? You a seamstress? Like no one's a seamstress,
Why,
right?
do people
They live in
close
Asia.
one eye?
Well, okay. Closing an eye, right?
Because wasn't that like the old school, like they close one eye?
Old school is you keep it open and they put a thing over it. But your eyes work better together. Sure. You should keep it open. The fix for vision is always just getting the good eye, whatever you consider your good eye, in line with the gun. The gun's going to end up center mass of your body, so you just need to
cant it.
Get your good eye center mass.
Yeah.
And that's the 9 out of 10 people every day on the range.
Kind of, are the boys coming to the range?
Yeah. They say they're all in, so this should be pretty good, man.
Yeah.
This should be pretty good.
Yeah, no, well, I mean, those guys didn't really grow up with a gun culture, which I think is actually probably a benefit.
Yes, I agree.
Because then they're kind of, I guess you could say, like an unwritten book.
Blank slate.
Yeah, the clean slate. They don't have any shitty preconceived notions of us playing cap guns as kids. You know?
But I told everybody kind of, if you have a everyday carry kind of gun, bring that. I'll show you how to use. It's a great start to learn how to use your everyday carry gun best.
Well, so what I do is I have obviously a concealed carry holster, but I always have a pistol rig, like external, like out, to be able to shoot for a course, because I think it's weird that people go to a pistol course, they bring, let's say, like a fucking Glock 17 with an RMR, and they got this race gun shit, and they're shooting that, but then they get in their car and they got a fucking, Glock 43 or something. Yeah. Like I would rather shoot the course with what my conceal is, because I feel like that's a better indicator of what I have in my proficiency.
I agree. That's what I tell everybody.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you bring that, it'll be good.
Dude, I always shot Glocks. So I had like, and then I picked up, the SIG, 365 Legion.
Yeah, the little one.
Yeah, the little one. So I've been carrying that one. I like it.
Those are popular. Yeah.
It's I like that it's a metal. Like it's, it feels and it shoots really well. Yeah. And I think it's 17 rounds, which which is killer. Yeah,
it's probably the number 3 selling holster we have, right? Those are popular guns. Tons of people have.
What would you say the most popular gun is? Glock?
The Glock 43, 48, and then the Glock 19. And the Glock 19 is probably by numbers the most popular one, because that was your only option for little gun for years. And then every fucking one owns a G19.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think I got 2.
I think I got like 7. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I would say G19 is probably up there, and the G43, 48, the little gun category, the 365, the 48 or 43, the Shield for Smith & Wesson. Those little guns are wildly popular. Wildly popular. And I really think the reason why is they're the 90% hand size for anyone who doesn't wear fucking large gloves or smaller. Like, it's the 90% fits in your hands. The Glock is too fat. If you don't wear a men's size large gloves, a Glock's going to be big in your hands.
Yeah.
And I think all those guns are like the average hand size for most people. Now, tiny in my hands, I wear XX gloves, tiny in my hands, but I'll carry it more because I can fucking just stick it somewhere. Like it's easier to carry, right?
Well, the other one is I wear shorts a lot. It's Texas, it's hot as fuck. Yeah. So being able to carry concealed with shorts is like, like you got to be very,
So that's why they're wildly popular. All those guns these days, I think. And it's about time they started making guns that were like, actually fit people's hand size. Like, has anyone ever measured people's hands and said a gun should be size X? I don't think so.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I also think they're too heavy most of the time.
That is true.
And most people, like with rifles, regular ARs, they'll throw the shit on it. It'll be 9 pounds in the fucking rifle class. They're like, we're like 40 we're like 40 rounds in. They're like,
this is so heavy. Yeah, they got like all this shit on the front of it. Yeah. No, I try to make the rifles as light as possible.
Yeah, I think I have a 5-pound rifle. That's the rifle in the van. I think it's 5.1 pounds or something.
I remember, so I have a 300 Win Mag rifle, And I remember I got it. I put it in this badass fucking Accuracy International chassis and the whole deal. Like went to the range. I mean, I'm fucking just like, 8 for 8 on a 3-inch piece of steel at 800, like fucking laser beams, right? And we went hunting. And I carried that thing for probably like strapped it on my back. I fucking couldn't get rid of that thing fast enough. And I bought a Manners stock that's super light. Next time we went hunting to go shoot elk, I was like, oh, way happier. And then every time, like I got like one 308 that's pretty like super accurate, but it's so fucking heavy. I know. And like there's this interesting trade-off of like it has to be heavy enough to manage some recoil, but if it's so heavy that I don't want to carry it, then it's worthless.
Yeah. I had a same thing. I had a 300 Win Mag folding stock. It was like 30 pounds. Had a hole. Any gun that's got the hole for the thumb.
That's the one I have. Yeah, with the Accuracy
It's just
International.
It's going to break your fucking wrist.
Yes.
It sucks. Don't do it. Yeah. And then so I got rid of all my guns like that too.
Yeah.
But they do make like, I think Savage makes like this like 300 or 338 tactical, like 7-pound fucking rifle. You know what I mean? So I think there's some light shit out there. But
Q makes that mini or makes that fix. I got my son for his 9th birthday. I got him a mini fix. It's like it must weigh fucking 4 pounds. Yeah. It's a little bolt action. It's perfect for him, single shot, and I got it in that 6 arc. So I'm pretty excited for that. Yeah, when we were out at DevGru, the guys were like so excited about that 6 arc. You can shoot out of a small frame AR, and it's like such a flat. They were showing me trajectories. Like that's a perfect weapon for him, and that way he has a dope gun. At least like not like I'm sure everybody else. He's got like a piece of shit rifle as your first one. I actually want him to have a cool rifle for his first one. Yeah, that he'll have forever and can shoot for a long time.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that. Yeah.
No. So then he's like, Dad, can I? I'm like, dude, anytime we go out there to shoot shit, you can do it. So I gotta figure out like a little bit of like night stuff for him. So, but he shot his first deer this year. It's pretty awesome.
That's great.
Yeah, he shot with my SR-25. I couldn't fucking believe it. And he got right behind it, knocked it down at 80, and then I was like, oh. And he's like, yeah, Dad, it's the same reticle as Fortnite.
I hate that with these kids, man. My buddies' kids ask me about all kinds. Have you ever shot this? And I'm like, is that the Barrett one? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, oh, yeah, I shot that. But they'll know, like, the nomenclature. Yeah. They'll know so much about it. Like, how does it shoot? Like, it'll fucking take your earmuffs off, like, and wear a helmet,
Yeah, his on the video games, he loves the AK-47. I always tell him, I'm like, yeah, it's the preferred weapon of the bad guy.
Yeah, seriously, right? Yeah, real talk.
Did you ever come across? I remember I saw like a video of these like armors in like the Middle East and like Afghanistan, and these guys are basically like building AK-47s in the dirt, like basically hand pounding these things, and like I saw this video on this guy in this hut that was like, did you ever see any of that?
I seen this for real. Those guns were garbage. Fucking garbage. Every one of them is fucking garbage. You can't just cut something that's been fucking hardened in half and weld some other shit on it. You're like, fucking garbage, man. And most of them guns don't work, but no one knows it. You know what I mean?
So they're out there running into the fight with a gun that's doesn't work.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, probably never went boom in its life. You know what I mean? But they're gonna carry it around everywhere like they're the fucking man.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've seen those in action, and I was just like, look at this fucking garbage welds, garbage.
Yeah, they're over there welding with a fucking coat hanger.
Yeah, I know.
And a battery.
Yeah, we get shit made with CNC machines over here. You know what I mean? 5 decimal points deep. You know what I mean? This dude's beating on it with a rock, and then he's got a stick welder over there trying to weld like an AK to a fucking Mosin Nagant. I don't know what the fuck they do. I've seen some weird shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. When you come across those guys, I mean, I guess they're working with what they have, but they were making video and they were like, these guys are like artisans. I'm like, those guys are fucking welding with fucking coat hangers with fucking batteries. I'm like, there's no way that thing's shooting anybody.
Those guys don't get paychecks because no one's paying for that. You know what I mean? Nobody. Like, no one who's buying a firearm is paying for that.
Fuck. So what's the game plan for Worlds? So purple belt, Masters 5?
Master 5 again, purple belt. I'm going to try to go down to
195.
Yeah, or 205. I think I want to go down a weight class for sure. I was by far the smallest human being. I mean,
what do you mean? Like
height?
Oh, height-wise?
Height and size. Like, I was the short. And then I was just thinking, like, I was looking at this big guy, and I was just thinking, like, the fuck's he made of? Feathers? Like, he's fucking bigger than me.
Wait, so the guys were what, like 100 kilos? Is that what you fought at?
222.
So 100 kilos.
100 kilos.
So you fought at 100 kilos.
Yeah.
But you're only what, 5'9", 5'10"?
Yeah, 5'10". And I'd say the average height was like 6'2".
Wow.
Yeah. They're fucking big guys, man. No doubt about it. So
you think they were cutting weight? Or they were just...
Every fucking one of them. Cutting weight, juicing up. They got all the gear. They're doing the peptides. Like, these motherfuckers are rolling deep. They've been training since last year just to kick your blue belt ass. You know what I'm saying? Like, these guys ain't fucking around. It ain't... I mean, like, back in the day, these fucking tournaments in the 90s when I won the Budweiser World Cup, semi-athletic wrestling blue belt, crush everybody. Nowadays, like, if you ain't geared up, lost weight, fucking pumping iron, doing some shit we don't even know about, you ain't fucking getting to the top. You're not. I know that.
Masters 5 Purple, is that competitive?
Fucking every one of them is, man. Okay, the only way, look, and I'll tell you, Master 5 Purple Belt was like a fucking 26 man division. You can probably look it up, but it's not like there's just 4 of us showing up. And every dojo I was in was like, oh, you're like 54, just show up. You're the toughest old guy we've seen in the dojo lately. No one's been here older than you lately. You'll be fine. And then show up these fucking genetic specimens. I can't even fucking compare. You know what I mean? What do these guys come from some fucking breeding camps? Like the Nazis were having athletes fuck or something. And I'm a regular fucking guy. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I want to be more prepared this year. So I think my goal is somewhere around June, I'm going to stop working or only work a couple days. I was going to either come here or go to Oklahoma City and just every day try to get rounds with either Lovato or Philippe or Sanji or Victor.
Well,
or
if
Rash.
you're here, dude, we can train.
I know. We can pump iron 3 days a week. We can train 3 days a week.
We can train. Yeah. I mean, if people are in town, this is my favorite when people come in. Like I trained last offseason. I had that Will Fries kid who just signed 5 years, fucking $88 million. Which was a pretty big deal. So good for Will, good for us. Fuck, it's a lot of money.
Good news.
But when he was in town,
come take a class.
Yeah, but when he was here, I was like, we got to go to jits every day. So I got to train every single day because I was training him.
Yeah.
And so I always joke. My wife's like, whenever somebody comes in town, how come all of a sudden the jiu-jitsu turns on more? I'm like, they need me there. It's Victor's training camp, and so I can kind of get away. If not, I'm like, I got baseball, I got basketball, the carpool. So yeah, if you come in, I'll be able to Johnstown, we got to get him ready.
Well, I was hoping to do June, July, and August. My game plan is cut weight the same as I did last time. I had no trouble cutting weight. I had no trouble eating the calories. I mean, I cut weight on 1,800 calories a day.
Yeah, but you're kind of a different cat in that you're okay with suffering. I just think a lot of people they just don't like to suffer.
I could have went to 1 meal a day and cut the weight. But anyway, cutting the weight, I want to cut down and try to get, 205, 195, somewhere in there. I'd like to get there a few weeks early because, when I was here earlier this year, right, or end of last year, we were working out. I was stronger than I had ever been at the same weight I was at Worlds. Mm. I'm stronger now than I was then at the same weight. So cutting the weight and getting there kind of seemed to be bullshit. You know what I mean? I'd like to kind of get to the weight and just kind of show up and I'm strong.
I like a slower weight cut. We did that with Philippe for ADCC. He was 220 and we ended up cutting him down to 99 kilos. Yeah. Or was he... Was 80? He 80? No, 85.
85.
Yeah, so he made 85, and so but we took 3 months to cut that weight, and he didn't lose an ounce of strength.
Yeah.
So and then I think he was sitting at I I think he only cut maybe 5 or 6, 7 pounds to make weight, which is, is like I said, like if you're in a sauna for 30, 40 minutes, you're going to cut 6 pounds. So I think for him, it was like 40 minutes to cut the 7. So, I mean, it's pretty easy to cut. Like it's when you have to cut like 20 pounds, now all of a sudden it's fucking a different deal. Yeah. And then people rehydrate too fast and you start feeling super lethargic or eat too many carbs. And all of a sudden you get that like, kind of bloated feeling.
Yeah. And I felt like my energy on a scale of 1 to 10 was a fucking 2. My Whoop told me I was like red at 29%.
You're like, I'm not looking at this. I don't need this negativity in my life.
I fucking ditched the Whoop. Like my sleep sucks. Whoop, where are you at? You just going to tell me my sleep sucks forever? Like what, you know what I mean? Like I know this, like how many days I got to know this before like I don't wear it anymore. But like, and then, it's like I'm looking at the Whoop, like I didn't need to know I was fucking red today and I didn't sleep good. And like, anyway, so, and then it was, I don't know, I was nervous. I had some other shit going on in my life to where I just wasn't 100% that day. If I could go back, I would change a lot of shit I did for that day and I'd probably do better. You know what I mean? One thing I can't fake is those guys being a lot. We were the same weight. Yes. Maybe we're the same strength. Yes. Yeah,
but I think the difference this year is you're going to have more consistent training partners and a deal. And then also when you show up, like, we were there, I didn't go last year, 2 years ago when Victor had his big fight. Like, Arash was there, the guys were there, like everybody had a team. It was like Shanji was coaching. So I think like having guys in your corner and people getting ready and that, I think that's the important thing.
Yeah.
Because when we showed up, dude, like there was a lot of fucking people there.
Fuck. And then, I'll tell you one thing Raphael told me. He was like, why the fuck did I see you there so much? You just fucking walking around? You got to fucking fight. Do not come here. Come here, find your mat and fucking leave.
Yeah.
He's like, you do not need to be here. This is a waste of your energy. Like I was like, well, fuck, I didn't know that. And then another buddy of mine, one of my Ranger buddies, he's 60-some, black belt. He just won the Nogi this year. His division, and he was like, what did he tell me? He said, I look like a kid going on his first fucking date and trying to ask a girl out. I was over there like, you know what I mean? Like, so, mentally, like I could have been in a better place. And then, but I never done it before. Like,
sure.
And then, look, I know I've done a lot of shit. Like, missions don't make me nervous, but like World's the first time. It's like kind of like my first mission. You know what I mean?
I always tell the young guys this. The reason you're nervous isn't because you haven't prepared. You're nervous because it means so much to you.
Yeah.
Like I saw this in the NFL. There was 2 types of nervous. There was the guys that were nervous because they hadn't done the work and they were fucking scared to death that they were going to be exposed.
Creamed.
Yeah. Because they're, like in the NFL, if you're not prepared, your worst nightmare becomes your reality, the fastest I've ever fucking seen. So there were guys that were nervous because they hadn't prepared and they hadn't done the work. And then there were guys that were nervous because it meant so much for them that they wanted to be great. And so, when I was walking out there with Philippe for the UFC Fight Pass, he was nervous. And I reminded him, I'm like, dude, there's nothing wrong with being nervous. Yeah. Like you're nervous because it means so much for you. Yeah. Now let these people go out and see you. Like don't be, like I always think like that's like the signal that like the day that I'm not nervous, I probably shouldn't fucking be there.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that too. Yeah. But I was a little nervous. I just think there's a lot of little things I could do better and I need more time. Like I say this all the time, like we fought every day. I went to the dojo every day and I fight and like I can stay on top. I got good leverage. You're not really rolling me. I'll roll you back. Like if we scramble, I'll normally do pretty good, but what it didn't teach me was a game plan. Or I'm really good at takedowns and like getting you on your back or on your belly, you know what I mean? But from there, like
now what?
Right. So I need a game plan this year and I need to work a game plan. And I will tell you is I don't think practice is always the best place for game plan development. You know what I mean? I mean, look at, you just said, how long did you do body locks with Victor, working the body lock? I mean, gee, who does body locks? You know what I mean? Why would he,
so that's all the positional stuff. So we were going in and it was funny when so we would start in like the worst position. So I would get Victor in side control, and I get the fucking body lock, and I would fucking wrench the shit out of him. And it was funny because when he went into the fight pass, Nicky Rod ended up getting him in a good position. And Victor fought his way out. And I remember like that night, I was like, how, that was pretty tight. He's like, yeah. He goes, as soon as I felt him squeeze me, I knew exactly that I had beat your body lock and you were stronger than him. And he's like, yeah, I mean, there's that's no shade on him. I am fucking,
right.
I'm, fucking
right. A
bigger.
lot bigger. Yeah. A lot bigger.
And I fucking bench
out.
like fucking 500 pounds. So, I mean, that's the positional stuff.
Right.
Like for Victor, he can get to his positions. Like him starting in a good position isn't going to help him. So what we do is we put these guys at massive disadvantages, and then they got to fight their run. That's the positional stuff that's so good.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the things is I never really had a game plan in the sense that like people would ask me, what's your game plan? I'm going to hit him with that single leg, you know what I mean? And then from the single leg, I'm going to get the side control because I climb the mountain, just go right to side control. And then, none of that worked on that big dude.
And then you end up in close guard and you're like, now what? Fuck.
And then I ended up thinking I got to pull guard. The problem is I never once pulled a fucking guard in my life. You know what I mean? What I thought was useless. I was wrong, but what I thought was useless. And then I'm like, fuck, I got to pull guard. I mean, if I pull guard, it would switch the match. I'd probably get an advantage point. And then his jiu-jitsu wasn't as good as mine. So what a great way to get him to the mat until he's bigger than me and I don't know how to do this. So if I fall backwards and this goes wrong, that's a fucking ton of points.
Well, but the one thing that's kind of interesting, with like Victor and a lot of these guys, they're so good on their back. Philippe and them are so good in these positions, like like knee shield up, basically playing guard and being able to submit from those positions. Yeah. Whereas like most people, like for example, we're watching, that fight with Nicky Rod. I mean, he's basically a pressure pass, takedown, smash, get on top,
body lock.
Yeah, I mean body lock to pass and everything is that deal. But man, Victor and those guys are so good on their back, and that's so impressive to me because that's the last place I ever want to be.
Yeah.
But then to be able to get in those and be able to submit out of it.
But I never pulled guard before, so I didn't want to do it because if I fucked up, so I tried to do something else, and then I lost because I realized my game plan was paper thin. Paper thin. Okay. No one asked me like, okay. Just hear me out. This is world. You're not going to get that fucking takedown. What next? You know what I mean? Yeah. No, not one motherfucker said that to me. They're like, oh, single leg, so you must have been like a wrestler or something. Oh, yeah. When I was a kid, I wrestled a little bit, But I didn't have like, I should have been like, I'm taking you down with a single. I'm bringing you down. I'm taking the outside. We're getting the dog fight. I'm collapsing you over. If you don't do that, I'm ending up here. If you do, you know what I mean? Like, I didn't have a series where, and I do this every time I take someone down, and I'm getting pretty good. I took Philippe down today. It was
nice.
Pretty good. I paid later, but like, I'm pretty.
Yeah, he's super vindictive. Yeah. He's like, oh, you got me, now I'm gonna get you.
Oh, and he laughs. Yeah. Oh, so good.
Oh, you're doing so good. And
now you pay.
It's so emasculating.
Yeah. Like, it was paper thin, and I never had a chance to do the single leg enough to where I'm gonna get it no matter what. You know what I mean? There's guys that get shit no matter what. They're that good at it. I'm not that good at anything yet. Like, you know what I mean? Because I don't have that game plan, that focus, whatever that is, right? So I need to go somewhere where I could practice that single leg 1,000 times and know, like, hey, at this point, if it's going bad, I'm doing this, right? And it's I fight by feel and leverage. You know what I mean? If I feel you're too far forward, I could shuck you down. If you're too far up, I could double leg smash you, right? Like, I kind of go by feel, and I didn't have a by feel game plan. If not this, then that. If not this, then that. You know what I mean? So, and I feel like I always, like in the dojos, how they're like, always use your training partners to maximize your training. And then I think that only makes you so much better. But in every dojo, I just let people come at my fucking neck, take it, get it all the way. Like, I'll get out or I won't, So I feel like my defense is good because I've been defending myself, even in the Army. But I feel like my knowledge of moves, my game plan, and my ability to develop a game plan, just hitting practices on the road, was non-existent. And I'd like to change that this time. And that's why I'd like to here somewhere.
Shanji's the guy for that.
Right.
Because, I mean, he'll roll with you. And then he does this with me whenever we roll, or he'll be like, oh, I want you to do it this way. This is your move. And for me, if I get in top position, like a weave pass crazy dog, and I'll fucking pass wide, and then just get into position, cut back, knee slices.
Yeah.
And so like there's certain things that which I think is good, because I help him in the training, when we train and some of the things. So when we're doing jits, he'll come over, and like my right knee doesn't bend as well as my left knee. So I got this bone spur in the back. So like I kind of like, whenever I always go to my right, their left, right? So if I'm going this way, but like I'll knee cut because I can't cut this way. Yeah. So I'm kind of like one-dimensional in ways. Yeah. But Shunji's like, everybody's one-dimensional. Everybody does something better one way. So you don't have to be able to do it. And if you like to cut this way and you do it better, I would much rather you spend time learning at this than trying to fiddle fuck through something else. Just like, if I got to play knee shields, I play on my right side because my right leg. And then to be able to get like a John Wayne pass or like a Choi bar or some of those things, like I'll come off of that. And it's just being able to like, okay, this is a good position. Mm-hmm. So if I'm on my back, this is the position I'm trying to get to, and then these are the submissions I have for that.
Yeah.
And that's, but then I do stupid shit, and I'll get my head in the wrong position and end up with a fucking loop choke, which happened to me the other day.
Or then you get tired and you're just doing bullshit, and you're mad at yourself because it's just doing I'm just doing bullshit out here. I hope no one sees me. You know what I mean?
Well, what I try to do is get to a good position, and then I'll just rest. Yeah. And then when I rest, I make sure to put all of my body weight on them to rest.
Yeah.
So what I'll do is I'll get on my toes and like try to get like rib to rib, and I'll be like, okay, we're gonna take a little breath here.
Smart. Normally I'll take that break until they start fucking with your gi behind your back, and you're like, the dude's trying to get my gi or something. I better do something.
Yeah, or you just hold on to their belt. Yeah, that's another one. I snake and just grab their belt and hold them into positions. Yeah, it's fun. I try to explain to people that jiu-jitsu is like, it's athletic problem solving. Yeah. But you're problem solving against different, like it's like playing chess, but it's physical, right? Yeah. So, but this like athletic problem solving is really funny, and then everybody has a very unique skill set. Yeah. Like you roll with somebody like if somebody doesn't have external rotation or mobility in their hips and their trunk, I know that like a stack pass. And I'll kind of feel them out, and I'm like, oh, this guy's super fucking stiff in his trunk. So what I'll do is I'll hook the leg, and then I try to basically stack him and cook him. And like, and like you kind of like do this little kind of like, oh, like they're good at this. They do this really well. Like,
I do the same shit. Hey, old guys, I go north-south. You ain't going to follow me with them old stiff-ass legs and feet. I know I ain't doing it. Like, so like I always north-south on dudes, knowing they just ain't going to chase me.
So you know what we call that? The arashigami?
The arashigami,
where basically he just goes north south and then just sits on your face, and fucking you get his sweaty balls in your face, and he's fucking like it's so when we were out at DevGuru, did he tell you this? He kept getting those guys, and then when we went back a year later, the one guy's like, you're not sitting on my face this year. Like they had been burned up for a whole year about Arash doing it.
Getting yoked up just to beat him.
Well, he was trying to get a Kimura, and when they weren't giving him the Kimura, he was basically rotating and basically just going to just sitting on their head trying to fight the Kimura, and they weren't giving it to him. Yeah. So then I just call, like now when everybody goes to north-south and sits on your head, it's the arashigami.
The arashigami.
This episode of Power Athlete Radio is powered by Train Heroic, the most immersive strength training app experience on the market. We've built an online training business by partnering with Train Heroic to deliver all of our world-class training programs like Jack Street, Hammer, Field Strong, and Grindstone. To learn which Power Athlete training program best suits your goals, head to powerathletehq.com/training. And if you're a coach looking to build a business with the best training tech in the business, head to trainheroic.com/powerathletehq. And now back to the show. So how was the side-by-side thing?
Yeah. Okay. The off-road trip in Arizona, we normally go from North Phoenix to Crown King, Arizona, all dirt town, all dirt road, no paved roads. Arizona has a ton. They have a whole map of highways that are dirt. Like fucking tons of them. Who knew? But you could go from Phoenix to Prescott. So we go to Crown King. We rent cabins generally. They got a bar. It's the oldest running bar in Arizona. Basically, I drink whiskey, water, and cheeseburgers for 3 days.
Seems like a good diet.
And then we off-road all day. We drive a little at night with night vision. We had car troubles this year, so this year was, I don't know, less exciting than normal. But the car trouble thing is always problem solving. I got a Can-Am. I had a race team set it up. These FCR shock guys just take good care of my shit. I had no fucking issues this year. But yeah, off-road driving is another one of those things where it's so loud in the car. You can't hear your phone. You can't. And when you're driving, you just drive. When you're the passenger, no sense even talking to the driver because he can't hear you. And you just drive, man. And I don't know. I feel like with the Crown King run, it's like more like a dude's weekend.
Yeah.
And like we have a sorted lot of life of guys that do it, and it just fucking works. You know what I mean? And it's dudes being dudes, and it's like no one cares about politics. No one cares about your mom. Someone's going to joke about both of them. No one gives a shit. And it's such a great kind of camaraderie thing. I think a lot of guys miss that too, but
yeah.
I love doing it. And at the same time, we off-road in Arizona, and it's fucking perfect weather, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, it sounds like a good adventure. Yeah, Ross showed me the pictures. Looks rad.
Yeah, he's kind of, I don't know, he doesn't drive as good as he thinks he does. I'll get him going. He'll probably be the second or third fastest guy in the mountain because he's trainable. But
yeah.
I don't know, rally race driving, there's some certain techniques that will make you faster than kind of just regular driving. So I kind of talked to him a little bit, but the road, when it was his turn to drive back, like we were on a good road, so it's basically just fucking hammer down the most of the time.
He's never done any like rally racing or anything. Yeah.
No.
And so yeah, I did a bunch of driving courses.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did like Bob Bonner at racing school,
Yeah,
and I went out and drove all the Richard Petty
Yeah.
experiences and all that.
Yeah.
You know, and then I fucking build rock crawlers, so I've done all that type of stuff.
Yeah, I just didn't know. I invited you, but I didn't know if you could fit in a fucking Can-Am or not. You know what I mean?
Well,
like,
dude,
I don't think the seats go back that far.
Dude, now that my kids are older, so my daughters are 13 and my son's 9. Oh, he just turned 9. So Jamie plays on a club basketball team. She practices 5 days a week, and then they have tournaments. And then my other daughter now, she rides and she does soccer, and then my son's in this baseball deal. Like the amount of like sports that we are running about, oh my god. Yeah. Like that, I mean, it's been killing the jiu-jitsu stuff because every night like we're driving carpools. Yeah. So that's why like training at lunch is pretty good. And then like even I need to start going to that 6 a.m. class. I just where Victor's place is, driving back is kind of shitty. So like if I get done at 7, like to be able to take the kids, you know, like if I finish up by 7, I get home 7:30. Like I got to be able to get the kids to school at a decent time. So I need to do that. I just need to fucking just pony up and do it.
There's monsters over there. Emilio and Marty. Like,
I know.
Those guys.
I roll with them constantly.
Yeah, I ain't never passed Marty's guard. You
well,
know
he's 6'11".
I know.
And Emilio's got that fucking spider guard, or he does that butterfly guard or that shoulder crunch. He fucking gets me every time.
He shimmies his legs out on me, and I can't stop it. You know what I'm talking about? He does he wiggles a little bit, and then he's out.
He's got short legs, and he's real thick and strong. He's got a real interesting jiu-jitsu. He's like 280. And Marty's fucking 6'11", 280 or 300 pounds. So, I mean, it's really big dudes.
Yeah, but Emilio, I'm just, like, fortunate. There's been a couple mornings where he could have, like, really fucking smashed me and didn't. And as soon as it happened, I thanked him. You know what I mean? But, yeah, the AM class over there, Lake Travis, that's a legit class, man. I'm telling you, like, people ask me all the time, like, there's only a couple big guys in the dojo in Raleigh to where – around here in Texas, like, and then one of the guys in Waco, a true like 300-pound guy, this guy Ty, looks like the mountain kind of deal. He came to Six Blades from Waco.
Oh, he did?
Yeah, like I was telling him how great everyone was. He came over here, and a rash was like, he asked me if I knew him, and I'm like, the Waco guy? How would you know him? And then he came over here to kind of check these guys out because I told him there's like some other. I was like, you need to get down to Austin. They got a couple fucking monsters down there, and he did. You know what I mean? So,
is he a big tatted up guy?
He was I think a lineman for Texas Tech.
Oh,
yeah, bald head. I think he's got tats.
Yeah. I think Victor showed me on Instagram that some big dude wanted to come train with. Wanted to come train with
he's
him.
the nicest guy ever. I was with him in Waco. We were doing the 2-on-1. Actually, same 2-on-1 Victor did the other day. We were practicing that.
Yeah.
I actually got pretty good. I was able to kind of keep his arm pinned a little bit, stay on the outside. It gave me some hope, like on a guy that size, like if I stay on the outside, I could last a little bit. You know what I mean? And then, because like the times where I get close and try to smash him, like one time he just stood up. And then I was afraid I was going to fall because it's a long fucking way down. So I kind of hooked his head. And then he was like, oh, sorry, sir. And he kind of set me back down. But like, it's the right move. When you're that big, you could just stand the fuck up. Like, that's the right move every time.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? But I always tell guys, man, there's fucking big guys do jiu-jitsu here in Texas.
Yeah.
Always.
Well, they just don't. I mean, it's I don't know why it is, but I don't think anybody else has access to big dudes like that. But I do know that. So when I was flying out to Victor's fight, one of the guys from the B team, I think Damon, was on my flight, so I ended up just kind of bullshitting with him a little bit. But yeah, they had to bring in some bigger guys. So they were bringing in bigger guys to prep Nicky Rod for Victor. I mean, fucking Victor weighed in at 270 for that fight. That's a big fucking dude, 6'4", 270.
That's huge.
Yeah, I mean, when he fought last time, he was like 258. So when he stepped on at 270, I was like, oh, we got to get the fucking conditioning up a little bit. But he did great, man. I was
His salt bike is in your future.
Well, I don't think he fucked his back up, training for the CGI deal. And then after that, he took a big break. And I think he didn't know when he was going to fight. And then when they threw him out the offer to do the fight pass, he snapped it up. And then at that point, he's like, we got to go. So we kind of ramped it up. I was just stoked that he had, I made him a month's notice to be able to get in shape and do as well as he did.
I'll tell you, he's better on the assault bike than I was. Way better than I was.
Yeah, that motherfucker's unforgiving.
Oh, my God.
It forgets my name all the time. Yeah. I get on this thing. I'm like, you don't remember me.
Yeah. I don't even make a dent. That thing.
So dude, what's other than worlds, the classes, what's on the horizon for John McPhee in 2025?
Yeah, man. I don't know. I had a good year last year. I think I just kind of want to do the same this year. Teach my classes. I'd like to slow down a little bit on my classes and teach better classes. Like, the goal for me was always less people that I have more time with. You know what I mean? So I'd like to do a little of that this year. I'd like to train for Worlds. What else is this year for me, man? I don't know. Like, I do so much stuff in a year that generally, like, I'll probably skydive a little bit this year now the weather's getting good. I'll go pick up my parachute. Generally, I jump at D-Day. I'm probably not going to make D-Day this year, only because it's just getting so hard to find places during D-Day and it's so popular, right? So I'll probably do D-Day next year. And after Worlds, I'll do my fall road trip, right, where I adventure camp and fucking live the dream a little bit. And then,
dude, your truck's nice, your band's nice.
Thanks, man.
I like when I saw it, I was like, oh, it's a Rebel.
Yeah,
those are dope.
Yeah,
I've seen them up close. That's a nice van.
I'm telling you, like, I get to sleep in my bed everywhere I go. It's kind of nice. You know what I mean? Like, I got no complaints with the van. But, yeah, I'll have the fall road show. And then normally I do Christmas in Arlington. But I'm also trying to do no-gi. And sometimes they're the same. So I'd like to hit no-gi Worlds this year. I've been doing a little more no-gi. I think generally I'm better at no-gi.
I feel like in the no-gi, you can bully people a little bit more.
It's wrestling.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's...
You could use weight and strength and stay on top a little, even though you may not know as many moves. Or if someone gets an arm, you can jank it back super quick.
Yeah, like you don't have collars to get choked.
Right.
And it's not like a guy can, spider guard you and grab and pull you in and do all
what
these
do
things.
They say? Like, the gi is death by 1,000 cuts. No gi's death by, 100 or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I feel like if I'm sweaty and I'm in no-gi, I feel like at least I have like a fighting chance.
Yeah. Well, I'm not going to get smashed for the next 5 fucking minutes.
Whereas if I'm in like the no-gi and all of a sudden, or I'm in the gi and like, little dudes are fucking pulling on me and this, and I feel like what was the like the kid's fairy tale where the giant's there and like all the little things are like throwing ropes around him.
Yeah, they're trying to rope him to the ground.
That's what I feel like sometimes in the gi.
Yeah,
like,
I feel that way. But I'd like to do no-gi this year for Worlds again. Maybe I might. Rafael Lovato was talking about bringing a crew to the Rio no-gi before Worlds in August, whenever that is. I was thinking about maybe tagging along just to like, I don't know, just get another match under my belt before. It doesn't matter gi or no gi, right? To me, go with a crew, people that I can talk to, because I just showed up at Worlds alone, pretty much alone.
Nah, you got to have a little bit of a team.
Yeah, like, and then it'd be nice if I got to train with these guys a little bit. So like, because I've trained with Arash enough now where Arash is like, hey, I got this move. This is for you. You use your head. You do this. Like, and so I don't have that. You know what I mean? I don't really, when you're in dojo to dojo, you don't have anyone going, okay, your game is kind of this, because I only get a snapshot with someone one or two times, right? Yeah. So it'd be nice to kind of,
you're just driving on the road watching your BJJ Fanatics videos, fucking going to open mats.
Yeah. Hey, adaptive cruise control. I'm not even watching. Like, I got you, bitch. And I'm going to be doing these advanced moves as soon as I get there. Someone's getting grabbed the inner thigh. Fuck, I got this.
Dude, some of them are, I see it, I'm like, God, that's pretty slick. I don't know if I could ever pull that off.
I look at it this way. There's certain places that I always end up.
Oh.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Learn a move from there. Like I always end up like side control, right, over someone's head. I always end up technical mount with a seat belt.
Yeah.
Like I need to learn finishing moves from those places. I think that's what I think.
Yeah, my escape, so I do that ghost escape on a rush. And now he does something he calls the tornado, where he just spins his legs and gets right back into position. So I've been pretty good about escaping on him, and then he started doing this, and I'm like, fuck. And he's like, yeah, I got to move. He's like, now I got to move against your fucking move. And I'll be like, all right, now I got to find a new move. But I like rolling with those guys. It's we had a pretty, like, Rush and I had a pretty good exchange actually on this podcast, talking about like, when you train in that environment where everybody wants you to get better, and everybody, like you almost, like they're not giving you things because they're giving you things. They're giving you things because they want you to be better and they want you to go farther. Like, I feel like if you just, every time we roll, you thwart me at everything, and I never get a chance to start a sequence. Like I never know what to do. Like I need to kind of like, it's like a little bit of adventure. You got to let me open one or two doors to kind of let me go. And so I do that when I roll. And I know this is funny. You roll with like white belts or green belts or even kind of new blue belts. I like let them kind of like work some things. Like if I just smash them at every fucking turn, then like we don't really ever get to like go anywhere. It's like a dance partner where I don't let them take a step. Right. So that's like a big thing of like, all right, that's pretty good. Let's go. And then I'll let them kind of go a little bit. And I think that's actually been good for me, because now I get to like, instead of just being like trying to smash people from the get, I try to like let them work. Yeah. And I realized, because they let me do that, so I have to let other people. Yeah. And you kind of like learn the flow of it. Right.
Yeah, I do this all the time, man. I try to, if it's a smaller guy, right? Say a guy's the same belt, but he weighs a lot less than me. He'll go to arm bar me. I'll just pull my arm out. You know what I mean? I can just muscle that shit. I'll get it away. I'm so used to like, I got to get my arm from a rash. You know what I mean? And Victor. And like, so like, I'm pretty good at getting my arm out. The little guy, I could just pull it out. I don't. I try to get it out another way, truck or whatever, right? Whatever situation I'm in. Only because you wouldn't get there if I just janked my shit out. Because why? Because of strength. Yeah. You know what I mean? So I'm always kind of like, let's see where this goes. And then sometimes, man, I get hit with some fantastic shit, and I think it's great. And then it's like, fuck, I got to fight out of this. You know what I mean? Like, I should have never let it get this far. But I think all of that's great. And I think like it takes going all the time and then kind of learning this is a trade-off. There's a flow to it. And then that's one of the good things is I think the flow's quicker with no gi. So you feel like when you are getting smashed, it could change here any moment to where like with the gi, someone knows
you
what they're
should be
doing.
able to do both.
Yeah,
I know, kind of like if you look at like the social media there, so like the gi is dead and it's all about no gi and people don't want to do the gi. And then you had all these people come back and they were like, I feel like if you don't put the gi on at some points, it makes your no gi worse. Like you got to be able to be honest. So I like the ability to be able to do both. So, like when I travel, I take both and, whatever you want to roll with, I'm happy to do.
Yeah. I don't care as long as we're rolling. I don't care what the grips are. I don't care. But I will say this is, I also, being in a lot of like random dojos, I feel like women gravitate towards gi, regular women, because they don't like wives and shit, because they don't want to be judged in fucking spandex. You got to go out there and wear a fucking half shirt and spandex pants. I feel like they don't want to be judged, so I feel like...
Was the blue belt girl at HQ... I can't remember her name right now. She's like 6'1", like 220, 210. Mm-mm. So one of the girls, she's one of Tiago's students from up north. I'm totally totally blank on her name. Swedish girl, very nice, blue belt. She's like every bit of 6'1", probably 210. She is obviously a big girl. Like she's like not like a heavy girl, but she's like dieseled up girl. And dude, it's pretty funny. When every time I've rolled with her, she's always like, "Oh yeah, this is how this must feel to these guys." she's pretty good. But yeah, she actually follows one of our programs. She follows Dragon Slayer, or Jack Street. I mean, but it's funny when all of a sudden you see a girl like of that size, and then she's over there just beating up on these dudes. Yeah. And so I was joking with one of the guys. I'm like, "Man, you're smaller than a well-muscled female," and he's like, "Yeah, this girl's way bigger than me." And it's funny that like you get people like you're saying, like for some reason like there's like big people there, other big people just show up and you're like, oh, there's other big people here. I feel like this isn't little guy jiu-jitsu. This is like, top pressure, smash, pass, and do that. Yeah,
it's a different game, and it should be a different game. And then like I was just in Waco, and this guy Lance runs Select in Waco, and he was talking in class yesterday, and it's kind of interesting. I love Lance, right? But he was like, we were talking the other day about, you kind of know your like your spirit animal in jiu-jitsu, right? And then one of the dojos I go in, they got a picture like a hawk, they got a picture of an anaconda, and they got a picture of a pit bull, right, on like the walls. Yeah. And seriously, it's my buddy Jay's place, Meraki in LA, right? And it's like the nicest looking dojo you ever. Yeah. It's clean, like top, right? But I was talking to Lance about that, and then the other day at class, he was like, you kind of got to know what your spirit animal is, right? And his is the hawk, but he's always kind of like just out of range, observing, go. You know what I mean? Observe, go. To where like I'm the anaconda. Like if I could just grab your ankle, you know what I mean? I could maybe get your knee here in a second, and then I get your knee, and then I pull it in, and I smash your hips to the mat, right? So, but I would say, like, for anybody, like, what is your kind of animal? What is your game? And then you'll see, like, any animal in the wild, if you watch how they attack, you'll see jiu-jitsu. Yeah. You know what I mean? You'll see a lion attack from, an armpit, or why? Because you're going to get the best leverage on the body, or... You'll see these things, right? So I think it's funny how like it translates to other stuff, and then it's just sometimes simple concepts at the same time.
Yeah, that actually makes sense. That Damon guy from the B team was talking about Craig Jones. He called him he's like a chimp, where like he reaches out and grabs your arm and rips your arm off and pulls it through the cage. Yeah, he's like chimp strong. He like rip your limb off. And I thought that was a hilarious fucking likeness, or what do you call it, like analogy, or just like relating him to that. And I was like, oh, that's like I've rolled with guys like that where all of a sudden they get an arm and you're not going to get it back, and you're fighting off everything to get it. They're going to rip your arm off. Yeah. You're like,
Yeah. That's so funny.
Well, dude, I'm excited to drop a battle plan and see if we can come up with some programming for this next year, dude. I'm excited, and shit, man, with any luck, I'll be there too. So it'll be fun.
Well, I look at it this way. Look, I'm actually, today is probably like 1 year exactly that I got my purple belt. So I've been a purple belt a year. Last year I went to Worlds, right?
As a fresh purple belt?
As a fresh purple belt. I lost by 2 points, but 2 points is a million fucking points in jiu-jitsu sometimes, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
was it the first match?
Yeah, first match, first round I was out, right? And
Arash went to Brasileiro and lost in the first round. And he was like, fuck, I traveled all the way down there, did everything, got there and lost. And he's like, it was good for me because now I'll never lose in the first fucking round.
Yeah. Well, I didn't even know what a first round was, to be honest. You know what I mean? But I would have had to fight 4 times that day. And I don't know if I was ready for that either from a conditioning standpoint. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I mean, even if I would have won, you know what I mean? Like, great, you won. Like, I got no energy for the next one. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, so I'm hoping this year, like, man, I'm hoping to get some fucking good takedowns and finishes early.
So talk to me about this oral testosterone.
Yeah. Okay. So oral testosterone, I said on the Sean Ryan show, I don't like shots. A company contacted me, and I've been taking it, I don't know, maybe 2 weeks now.
How do you feel? Have you got any testing done or any levels? Or?
Yeah. So I got my blood test done. And so I've been taking it 2 weeks. I got to take another one here soon to figure it out. But honestly, like, you know, I've been working out and trying to stay fit, doing cardio, doing jits. I would say I recover. Maybe my recovery's quicker. Like, I get aches and pains, and then they go away a little quicker. But I don't really think it made me stronger. I don't think it's. Well, I'm not fucking squatting 800 pounds. But I think recovering quicker is going to make me stronger.
Well, you're going to sleep better. So I think the sleeping better is going to
I slept fucking 10 hours the other day. Yeah. I ain't never slept that long. So I bet that's a side effect of it. I've been sleeping longer.
So I think the sleep's going to be beneficial. I don't know if you're going to notice like a strength gain, but then you think about like the cumulative effect. You're going to be able to train with a greater relative intensity over a greater amount of time. And I think that's where you're going to start seeing the gains, where like now all of a sudden it's not like in the micro, it's in the macro. Now over the course of a year, I've been able to train just a higher consistency because I'm training heavier. I'm able to do better. And man, I've been really just thinking a bunch about like programming and stuff, especially for you after we last talked. And I was like, man, there's got to be something. Like I'm excited to go sit at the whiteboard and see if we can cook something up.
But this company hit me up because I said I wouldn't do shots. And you know, I went to dinner with the guy. We talked for a long time, man. And, you know, amazingly, you only take a little bit every day, which negates a lot of downsides, right? But the biggest downside, I think, look, I don't know if it's just me, but I'm going to tell you, when I was married and I had little kids, and like, I would not want to bring needles into the house. I would not want to have to do shots or no. Maybe that's my anti-taking any shots, you know, my fear or whatever it is. But I just wouldn't want that. And I don't know, I don't see how that's like acceptable to people. Like,
well, my son's a diabetic, so he, he has shots.
Well, you kind of have to, right? Yeah. But like he'd have to get over it quick as a kid, which.
Yeah, no, I mean, he was doing anywhere from like, you know, we started at 2 and it was up to like 8 to 10 and then he went to a pump just because he was tired of doing shots. So, but yeah, it's, I have not checked into like the pharmacology of like an oral testosterone pill. I mean, did he get into anything with like a toxicity, the fact that it has to go through the gut? And
so he said all their testing showed it like helped the liver. Helped liver and kidney function a little bit. There was kind of no downside to it. And he said the reason why is it's only so much. You know what I mean? You're not getting that massive spike.
Well, what if you take like 5 of them in one day?
Good on you. You know what I mean? Let's go. You know what I mean? If 5 is good, 6 is better, right?
Yeah, and then I'm going to take 10.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you shouldn't wear adults, and you should follow what the doctor recommends. Well, of course,
there is. So I have a theory that like it's, and I got it from Doc Parsley from the podcast we did. Like his whole thing is being like, you need to set like whatever your baseline was. Let's say between like 18 and 26. Like let's say that's what your testosterone was. Like if you can maintain that testosterone level for as long as possible, like the outcomes in terms of like health and performance and wellness, everything is better. Because 1, you can train, 2, you sleep better. I mean, everything looks better. And if you don't
you heal quicker.
If you don't sleep and you don't get into deep sleep, then you don't make any hormones. So anything that you can do to improve the physiological response. The problem is people go super physiological. And like I was, watching these podcasts where these guys are taking 1 gram or 2 grams or 3 grams of testosterone in a week. And like the effects of that is, we don't really know. But
is that a lot?
Yeah. That's yeah. So like, let's say like a standard dose for TRT would be like 200 milligrams a week. Okay. Those guys are taking like 3,000 milligrams a week.
Yeah, but isn't their heart gonna fail when they're older or something?
Yeah. I mean, you would think that like they would have health issues, but like maybe they do, maybe they don't. Like I don't know if they've tested anything at that super physiological. And I know when I was talking to Doc about it, he's like, there's like receptor sites and this, but I mean, the bodybuilders use really high amounts, but like, yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily know if they know what the super physiological effects are. I just know that the outcomes are better with healthy testosterone levels than they are without. Like, I don't want to live life with low testosterone. That would be a fucking terrible place to live.
Oh, this is what it looks like. And I did it for years.
And fuck that. Like, you're like, now I'm never going back.
No. Well, I can take the pills. I can just take the pills. I don't got to worry about shots. I don't got to fucking, like a buddy of mine does pellets.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And he has these fucking scars on his ass from the pellets where it like didn't heal.
Yeah, they put them underneath the skin and then they slowly,
and he was like,
fuck all that.
We were at Jits and he showed me his ass. And he was like, good thing I'm married. You know what I mean? Because look at this. And I was like, what the fuck is that? And he was like, pellets, dude. And I was like, I never even thought of that, but
yeah, well, they do that on cattle. That's where they got it from. Yeah, they would put the pellets into cattle.
Fuck.
Yeah, they just do a little incision, jam them in there, cover them up.
Well, if it's good on beef, why can't I take it?
But I mean,
I eat meat.
Yeah, but I mean, that's like, because I mean, like, they're obviously given, trying to make bigger steers. I mean, they're not going to go out there and shoot them stuff. But yeah, that's where they developed. Like, that's where trenbolone comes from. Like Tren, like that was actually for cattle. It was never approved for humans. So then what they do is they crush it down and then they turn it in and then they sell it underground. Like, there's no approved human consumption for trenbolone.
Wow.
Yeah, it was only approved for cattle stuff.
But and look, as an older guy, I would tell anybody, it's not cheating trying to bring your testosterone up. And I would tell this for male or females. And then the same company is also working on one for females, which they said is going to work better because it's even less. They need less.
Yeah. So men produce testosterone in their testes and also in the adrenals. Women obviously don't have the testes, so they produce it in the adrenals, but they do produce testosterone. And then it's, also as women enter menopause, the testosterone ends up helping them too. So, I mean, even for women don't want to have low testosterone.
Yeah, seriously, right? And then, so I look at it this way is I want my levels to be fucking top. So when I go against the fucking Mongolian bodybuilder at Worlds, you know what I mean?
Is there a Mongolian bodybuilder in there?
I don't fucking know. Maybe I just made that up. I don't know where this guy is.
I'm feeling like we could do a little bit of research. We could jump on the computer and kind of figure out who's out there in the IBJJF. But the issue is there's always going to be some fucking outlier who's never competed. It's just going to stroll in for his first one.
He's going to fucking mop me up with the mat. You know what I mean? But hey, I'll feel better if my hormones are fucking good about being mopped up versus like just getting mopped up fucking regularly. You know what I mean?
Oh, fuck.
I'll feel better. But I also look at it as like, man, I mean, I should also be taking peptides, doing peptides. And then I'm also looking at stem cells right now. And I was thinking about trying to do stem cells by May.
Well, I was going to. Well, I thought I introduced you to Doc U. Mm-hmm. You know, he's got his deal out in California, and they actually have that charity for Tier 1 guys.
Yeah.
So.
Well, yeah, I'm going to talk to him as soon as we get
we need to. Yeah,
we need to do this again.
Yeah, he's great.
I also would tell people like, hey, man, you should be doing stem cells, and I think we're going to see more of this in the future. I mean, you know, look at the Joe Rogan podcast. Look at what they talk about. You know, fixing cancer and stem cells, and like, you know, I don't think it should be just for the ultra rich anymore.
Well, yeah, Joe goes. Was it Ways to Well, Wells to Way? That's a place here in Austin. We met that guy, but yeah, that's who he and Gordon Ryan and those guys go to.
You know, look at Mel Gibson talk about his dad getting like quality life at like late age, 80s, 90s. Anyway,
you know who's next door neighbor?
Who?
Sabine, Dr. Sabine.
Oh, really?
Yeah, a lot of the stuff he was talking about. You know, she's, you know, especially on like the you know, the testing and all that.
Yeah. Well, I went to a stem cell place in Panama while I was there. And they said the bulk of what they do is autism. And they give stem cells to autistic kids. It heals their stomach.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the autism is in the gut. So, I mean, you know, that was Dr. Sabine's deal, that they found that it was, you know, low gut diversity and low bifidobacteria.
Yeah.
So if you guys want to, we can always link that one up. Hopefully we won't get fucking Google kick us off anymore. But yeah, it's dude, the places that regenerative medicine are going are exciting.
Yeah.
You know, Adil Khan had that event for Eterna, his company, on, you know, life extension, and you know, these guys got up and said it's very real. We have the genetics to live to about 120 years. The problem is you get to 120, you're fucking 120. Yeah. So nobody wants to make it that far because you're old as fuck. So the goal is, could you freeze your age at 40 to 50 and then make it to 120? Would you take that bet?
Yeah,
100%. If I could stay like physically like I am now to 120, I'd fucking take that bet.
Actually, I'd want them to turn me back till I didn't have white hair, and then I'd want to live there forever. Who wants to be fucking
like a vampire? Like, dude, if I could be 26 till I'm 120, I'll take that.
100%.
Well, so this is interesting. I heard a quote by George Clooney where he's like, you know, I'm not trying to look younger. I'm just trying to look like the best version of myself today. I don't know if that's bullshit, because I think all those Hollywood guys get a lot of work done. But I think that's what it really comes down to. So like things like sleeping, making sure your hormones are dialed, eating a high protein diet, you know, protecting gut resilience, you know, doing something that's causing or that's forcing you to train. Because I think for people like us who did something, you know, like you're in the military, you know, tier 1, I played, you know, obviously football, but people that are like high level performers, you need something that just because you're not in that environment or that theater anymore doesn't mean that doesn't turn something off. And this was something that I'd never realized. And actually I told Shanji on the podcast recently, like I didn't know that I was missing that part. Like when I retired from the NFL, I figured like that part of my life was kind of like, just kind of put it away. And then when I got back in and when I went to go do that course with Craig and, you know, I'm out there one-on-one fist fighting dudes. And I was like, fuck, man, like I need to get my skills back. And on top of it, like I need to learn some ground game. And when I got into jits, I was like, fuck, man, like this is scratching a competitive itch and like a little bit of violence that I knew I needed, that unfortunately I can't go out to bars and fucking fight people or show up at a fucking gun range and get into a gun duel. But like you can
just can't talk about it. You know what I mean? You can't brag about it on Instagram.
Yeah. No, then you get in trouble. But like now you have a competitive environment where you're showing up and you're training with a bunch of 20-something-year-old killers.
Yeah.
And you're like, I might be old, but I'm still here being competitive, which is fucking good for the soul.
Yeah,
like
I agree.
Like it's chicken soup for the soul.
I'm telling you, any adult needs an hour to themselves a day of fucking something you love to do. When you were a kid, you played the same fucking song over and over, danced the same stupid fucking dance over and over. You play 1,000 times, you loved it. Well, you still like stuff that much. You just don't do that anymore. Find whatever that is and do at least an hour a day. Yeah. For me, that's jits. You know what I mean? It's like
free play.
Yeah, seriously, right? And I'm so much better for it. I'm more relaxed most of the time. My cardio's gotten better. Like I just went hiking with a couple buddies of mine. Cardio-wise, I did really good.
Do you
know what I mean?
We were talking about before the podcast. I saw a clip that you don't believe in PTSD. No. Or like it's something like it was kind of a viral clip. It's like, I don't think PTSD exists.
Yeah.
Is that?
Yeah, I believe that. I believe it's a human condition, not a soldier condition. And I also believe like, okay, if you go down the major symptoms, right? Guys complain that they get forgetful, right? Like, okay, buy a fucking GPS. It'll tell you how to get home. I did. You know what I mean? But why are you forgetful? Why are you the things you are? And what you'll see is like every one of my buddies that I've talked to about this, or guys that I've helped over the years, is the first thing is like, well, first off, you're an asshole every day because you're hungover every fucking day.
Yeah.
I'm not going to tell you to quit drinking because I love the fire water. Don't get me wrong. And I drink, and there's been times in my life where I quit drinking. There's times in my life I drank like a fish, and I drink responsibly now. But I would never tell anyone to quit drinking because alcohol is not the problem. The problem is you drank 2 bottles.
Yeah.
Hey, cut that down to a bottle and a half. I bet you feel a little better tomorrow. You know what I mean? And over a week, cut it down to 1 bottle, right?
Well, I think there's a difference, like to be able to socially go out and have a drink with your friends and laugh and have a good time and like grease the groove. I'm for, like, if you're going out and you're drinking as a coping mechanism,
drowning,
or you're over there like, you know, like my day was so fucking shitty, I need to go have drinks. Like, if my day is shitty, dude, I go on fucking, I go walk outside, or I go lift weights, or you know what, or I show up to jits, and like I'm, you know, like fucking, I get choked out real quick, and all of a sudden instantly it changes it. But I think what happens is people are looking for these substances as coping mechanisms.
All pass.
I like, if I'm feeling sad or I'm having a bad day or anything, the last thing I'm going to do is go fucking have a drink.
Yeah.
Like, I look at it like a social thing. Like, you know, we were in California. I got to hang with my brothers, which was great. We sat around and laughed and, you know, told a bunch of fucking stories from back in the day, and, you know, upset my mom with the shit we were telling her. But like, we were having drinks and had a good time. Like, I would never sit around and be like, oh, I fucking hate my life. And I think that's what happens. Guys get into this kind of negative feed loop, and they don't have positive outlets. Like, that's what I like about jits. Like, you want to feel better about yourself? Go get choked out by a 20-something-year-old Brazilian who's telling you you're doing a good fucking job.
Yeah. No. So anyway, so the alcohol is normally the first thing, right? And then the next thing is like, well, why are you forgetful? Why are you these things? And what you'll realize is, like, you have cognitive function issues. You might have concussion issues. You might have... but you could sort through all of those, and any symptom you have, there's a fix for it. Generally, I think PTSD is 70% diet and alcohol related. Wow. And if you clean up your diet, right, and drink a little bit less, your life will get a lot better. You won't be forgetful. Like, a ton of my buddies are forgetful because they think it's from concussions, and it's like, yo, you ever ate MCT oils? You ever taken them? And as soon as the guy takes MCT oil, eats avocados, right? Yeah. Anything like that, food for the brain. As soon as you get that shit, you're not so fucking forgetful anymore. Yeah. Okay, were you forgetful, or was this a food deficiency, right? And so, like, for years, like when I stopped taking the pills from the VA, and I'm like, I'm not eating any pills ever again. Fuck them.
Is that their standard fucking care? They just give you more and more
better,
pills.
Better
living through living through pharmacology.
Because I believe the Army OD'd me on Percocet, and I think I died. But they didn't tell me. And then, you know, my day surgery went to 16 hours in the recovery room from overdose symptoms.
So wait, what happened?
Yeah.
So wait.
I had a bicep surgery, and like, you know, my wife's supposed to come pick me up in like a couple hours.
Oh, so you ruptured a bicep?
Yeah. And then like, I think they OD'd me. And then from then on, they tell me I'm allergic to Percocet, so they give me this Dilaudid shit. But like, you take that shit, you can't do shit. I couldn't have went outside and taught fucking 6 classes a year. One every other month. You know what I mean? On them fucking pills.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I ditched them all, and I quit taking pills. And I changed my diet, right? And a lot of my PTSD symptoms went away. You know what I mean? And a lot of it was cognitive function. I did a lot of O2 chamber work. Mm-hmm. That fucking helps with cognitive function big time, you know?
Yeah, the hyperbarics.
I took MCT oil for a long time, and then I realized just eat more avocados and, you know, better food. So my PTSD I fixed with diet and cutting out the alcohol or cutting it back.
I think PTSD also has to do with like a feeling of like I don't belong, and like almost like a feeling of like I'm lost in the world.
Yeah.
So I like the symptoms for PTSD happen to ex-NFL players when they retire. Right. So you had a place to go, you had a uniform, you had something, I mean, similar to like the military, right? You know,
a team.
Yeah. I had a team. I had people to be around. I had doctors. I was part of something. We had a mission. We were going to go out and fucking play this game. And like, I had somewhere to be. Then all of a sudden they're like, fuck off, leave. Yeah. And then you're sitting around and you're like, I don't have any of the support system that I used to have, and I don't know what my future looks like. Yeah. And I think they're like that feeling of like I'm lost and I'm lonely and I don't know what I should do and this, and then like, you know, guys start coping with drinking and, you know, maybe they've had concussions and all these things that kind of play into it. And then when they asked me, I'm like, you know, when I retired from the NFL, I was already working. You know, like I never really retired. I like stopped playing in football, and next thing I know, I was teaching 36 seminars a year and doing what I'm doing here. And like, there's always something to do. Like, there's never a moment where I thought to myself, like, it's probably shit over the last 15 years. There's not a single time where I've woke up or sat there and been like, I don't know what I'm gonna do today, or I got nothing to do, or I'm bored. Like, there's always something to do, and especially now with you know, with the kids that I work with, you know, like, coach, what time are we training? What time are you coming in here? I mean, like, believe me, I have my entire day blown up by people trying to get me to come do stuff with them. And like, you know, if I do have free time, like I drive with like my gi and my stuff in the car. And if I'm driving by and I'm like, ooh, there's a class I could go, I swing by and I see the guys and I go train with them. Yeah. And, you know, and then I got kids and I got a wife and I mean, there's a million different things. I mean, there's property. I mean, I weld, I build, I mean, like, there's always something to do. But I think the problem is that, guys become very siloed. And the other issue too, I think this happens as men age, they become a lot like lone wolves, where they don't want to be around anybody and they kind of self-select out and they kind of isolate themselves. And I don't think we do well in isolation. I think men tend to do better in groups when they have other men. You know, iron sharpens iron as one man sharpens another. I mean, like, you know, I know that's fucking, we've used that here in Power Athlete, but it's all over. I mean, it's true. Like, you have to be around people. And I think what's been good too is to be around young guys and to mentor them and see them in like a rush and be able to train with these guys and like see them grow up and become, you know, better versions of themselves. Yeah. Like, that has been as rewarding for me as raising my own kids, is seeing these guys grow up. And I always tell them, I'm so proud of the people you guys are becoming. Yeah. And, you know, like when I walked Philippe out, you know, his family's all down in Brazil. So like, I mean, between like Arash and Victor and Shanji, I mean, we're his family. Yeah. And it was good to be there and to see him go out and see young guys going out there and like, you know, taking on the world and being out there. And, you know, it's great to be a part of, and I feel very, very fortunate to be able to contribute, but then also be able to take as much because it's something for me to belong to. Yeah. You know?
Yeah, I call that guys get stuck in their last chapter. This book's going to have a lot of chapters. Until you're dead, you'll have chapters. They get stuck in one, and they just want to read this chapter, and they don't want to move on, and they stay in that chapter. And I think that's when the booze comes, you know what I mean? Like, they're just stuck in this chapter. But the reality is like, oh, and guys think this is the best chapter in the book, normally. You know what I mean? How can this get better? Like, I was at the tip of the spear, and now nothing, you know? But I think, well, you don't know what the fuck is left in the book. Go write this bitch. And if there ain't nothing exciting in this book, make that fucking shit happen. Yeah. And find shit you like and do a lot of it just like a fucking little kid would. And you wouldn't think like that anymore. You know what I mean? But guys get stuck in this last chapter, best chapter. And it's like, I was here for a while. Like, I was just thinking, like, fuck after war. Like, what am I going to do? No one needs people killed like that. You know what I mean? Like, what the fuck do I do?
Tim Kennedy had a funny statement about you that like, you should be sealed in a glass box that says only break in time of war. Yeah. And
it's true. I'll break the glass myself too. Like, you know what I mean? I'll tell you when it's wartime.
Yeah, but I didn't get that from you. Like, I imagined that person was sealed in that because he couldn't live in society. You seem to do pretty well.
Yeah, well, I've had to adapt and I've had to learn there's other chapters, and like there could be bad chapters, there could be good chapters, there could be chapters that are so because the best chapter is coming. You don't fucking know, right? And then like this is where like getting in better shape. Now I'm not afraid of challenge. I'll go hiking with my friends where before I was too fucking fat to make it up the mountain. You know what I mean? And then I'm not scared of nothing now. You know what I mean? And I was kind of living in fear as a fat drunk in my own chapter, thinking nothing's going to get better. Of course it's not going to get better. It's all you fucking think. Like, it's self-licking ice cream. You know what I mean? So I tell guys, fucking go write another chapter, but make this next chapter better. Like, go do something, right? Like, because you can't do nothing. You know what I mean? Like, no one does nothing well.
What are they doing? Just waiting to die?
Yeah, I don't want to do that.
No, it's an interesting thing. Like, my mom's 85, and we were just out there, and like, I'm always like, Mom, like, what are you doing? Like, and she's not like interested in doing anything, and like she like walks her dog and kind of hangs out and like goes and like babysits in this, but like she's still pretty young. I'm like, Mom, like you need to do something. She's like, I don't know what to do, and like I like it's I'm not say anything bad, like her and my dad were married for like 55 years. My dad passed away and she's been kind of lost without him. But like, I constantly think like, if I was in that position, like what would I do if I was 85 and like, I'd probably be fucking van life with you. Like, I'd be like, I'm going to get in this van. I'm going to go to every national park and I'm going to fucking wake up and see the sun rise over fucking El Capitan.
Let's go.
Like, I don't know if, the thought of like, I don't know, like, when I was young, I never really thought about being old. Like I remember when I was in my 20s, like being like in my 40s and 50s, like being in my 40s might as well have been 4,000. Yeah. Like 50 to me was probably like, I was like, there's no way I'll ever make 50. Like everybody.
I wouldn't even live that long.
Yeah. I won't live that long. Like probably the problem too was that when I was a young guy in the NFL, these old guys would come and they looked like, I was like, was that guy like 400 years old? That guy's 50. He looks fucking terrible. So like that thing of like, not only like continue to train and continue to eat well and doing all these things and staying in good shape and staying active so that like I can live my best life today. Yeah. And when you run into people and like, oh shit, like, you see, I'm sure you see this too. You see people and you're like, fuck dude, this guy might as well be 400. You might as well just be fucking dead. No, I still want to be competitive.
Yeah.
And, and then like for me, that fountain of youth is like eating well. Right? Like sleeping well, doing everything that you can, getting your blood work done. I mean, doing all these little things that you hear, there's people that have fucking massive, I'm sure Sean Ryan's done 4,000 podcasts like we have on this, and Joe Rogan talks about it all the time. But at the end of the day, like fucking Rogan puts a lot, he's got a lot of available cash, don't get me wrong, but like, he fucking invests a ton of time into his health and his mental state and all these.
100%.
And he should, because he's trying to live his best life.
Right.
He wants to be around as long as he can to spend all those $200 million.
Well, yeah. And the problem is like, I don't want to wait till I'm 85 to start the bucket list. Oh, that's a problem within itself for me. I want to be knocking out the bucket list now. So when I'm 85, like,
so that was my dad.
I should want to do stuff, but like,
my dad passed away at 80, and when he was kind of at the end, we were sitting around, and I was like, Dad, I give him something to live for. Like, he was fighting through cancer, and I was like, Dad, like, is there anything left on the bucket list? And everything on his bucket list he had already done. He just wanted to redo them with all of us. So he had already lived, like he had gone scuba diving in the Galapagos, and he'd done this and this. I mean, he listed like fucking 50 things that he had done, and I was like, Dad, you've done every one of these. He's like, yeah, but I wish I had done them with you guys. And
that's great.
And so then I realized like he wasn't like, I wish I had another Porsche. I wish I'd never had this and this.
Yeah, no, it's the bucket list.
It was nothing material. Yeah. It was about the experiences he had with us and the family and my mom and like this. Like that's what he felt like. I always think, for a lot of these guys, like, let's say like the Bill Gates or the Elon Musk, these guys like they're all going to die the same way unless they figure out how to stay alive forever as fucking robots. But like the experiences that you have, and more importantly, like the memories and how you affect people and this, and like that's what I always joke with the guys at Fleep. I'm like, hey Fleep, at some point you're going to be old, and you're going to tell stories about like, hey, this guy that I used to train with back in the day, my coach, he used to say this and this and this, and I'm going to stay alive because you're going to tell these stories. Yeah. And that's what, like, just like I talk about old man Zangus, the guy that trained me, who's since passed, like I've told Zangus stories for years on this podcast, and people ask me about him, and he stays alive for the mere fact that I get to tell you funny things that he said. Yeah.
Yeah. That's amazing. I mean, in the Reese across America, when I put the Reese in Arlington, they do, it's always, remember, honor, teach, but, they're big in the saying the name. So you don't go away. So someone says your name, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it stays forever.
Christmas, yeah.
What is there ever been? and this probably end up on our last question, but is there ever, I was kind of thinking like in terms of like the theaters of battle that you fought in, was there ever a moment where you were like convinced like this is my final moment, like I'm going to die?
Yeah, my first day, like your first mortar attack, you know what I mean?
And you were like, you know what, I need to make peace, it's ending right now, and then somehow it didn't?
Well, no, I realized like I could die at any moment, and then I think I realized that I needed to, anybody who knows me or my family, I should let them know how I feel about them at all times. That's what I thought. So I tried to do that, but like people just take it for granted. Like you tell people you love them or something, but like, you know, when you're going back on a deployment, I don't think people are like, yeah, like just like cutting the fucking grass. You love me, get the fuck out of here. But I tried to always kind of make peace with that. It kind of helped me, I think. I don't know. I wrote that check so many times, it's not even funny.
Right. So there wasn't just one moment. There was many.
Yeah, several. Like fucking several. You know what I mean? Like, and there was also times where people were telling me I was gonna fucking, you know, write that check, and like I didn't think it was true. You know what I mean? I'll tell you a funny story. One night we're in Solder City, and like I forget what we had to do, but we're waiting for a certain time, and basically Solder City is a shithole. They just shoot at you from every direction. They're shooting at all times, everywhere. Fucking ricochets. Like you can't fucking tell. So we're waiting to open up with the miniguns, and so I went out. I got out of my armored vehicle, and I seen a bakery that was open. So I asked my terp, this guy Bill. Bill was from Buffalo. His like parents were Iraqi. He came here. He was 10, and like. Bill's from Buffalo. He is not Iraqi. You know, he makes this noise that they understand, but like, is this guy Bill from Buffalo? You know what I mean? Like, so Bill's my terp, and I'm like, Bill, what kind of fucking cookies? Say some cookie names. And he's like, fucking Clucci or some fucking, says some shit. I say it back to him a couple times. I get it right. So I walk down the street. Everyone thinks I'm fucking crazy. They're shooting everywhere, ricochets. I walk into the thing and I hold out my like bag, and we had these like clear bags you throw shit in when we find shit. I held it out and I said that word for cookies, and these motherfuckers thought I was robbing them. You know what I mean? And then they filled this fucking bag where they're like, and then like I pulled out a bunch of money and I just set it down like. From Savage money, it's no good to me. Like I don't know, it's probably a lot of money. You know what I mean? More than the cookies were worth. And then I come outside, and every vehicle, I'm like, I got some cookies for you, right? And then one of my number 2 guy was like, I was like, open up, I got some cookies for you. And he fucking cracks the window. I'm like, open the fucking window, dick. I'm not fucking opening the window. Fuck you, you know? So I took a cookie and I just started jamming them through the slot, and they're like bouncing off his fucking helmet, and he's trying to get them. I'm like, you want fucking cookies, motherfucker? You want to roll your window down, right? So just fucking stuffing cookies in them. I go back and I sit down, and Bill was like, John, only you would walk through Solder City to give everybody fucking cookies. And I was like, fucking thanks, Bill. You know what I mean? Like, I thought everyone deserved it. You know what I mean? But my buddy only cracked the window. And like, the cookies are hitting his helmet, breaking, falling on the floor. I don't know if he got a cookie. I mean, he probably ate the crumbs. They were good, by the way. Cookies were good. But yeah, and then like I used to just do shit like that. And then them guys think I'm fucking nuts for walking out there, but I never one time felt like I was going to buy the farm that day, even though Bill was like, Bill thought I was going to buy the farm. You know what I mean? Like, so did my other guys thought I was going to buy the farm.
Was it a feeling of like, this isn't my time? Or was there a feeling of like, I don't like whatever happens. I mean, or is it like, you know, fucking, I got a little angel sitting on my shoulder that wants a cookie?
Yeah, I know. There's definitely days where you feel like today's not your day. Maybe that was one of those days. I don't remember, but like I just felt like everybody needs these fucking. It's the middle of the night. These dudes are making cookies. I want fucking cookies. You know what I mean? So I went and got cookies. But yeah, I think sometimes like you just kind of know it's not your day. Other times you're just, Honestly, most times I was just so fucking tired and over the fucking, the stupid shit, the noise, that I was just like, I just don't give a fuck and just do it anyway. You know what I mean? So I think it's a combination of all of it, to be honest.
I think it's a great place to stop, dude. Hey,
Thanks,
man, thank you for joining me on episode 800 of Power Athlete Radio, dude. It is always a pleasure to sit there. The experience is always great, dude. So thank you so much for being on it. Anytime. And thanks for tuning in. Another episode of Power Athlete Radio.
Power Athlete.
Hey there, Power Athlete Nation. Big shout out to all the heavy hitters who stuck around till the final whistle. If you've been soaking in the knowledge bombs and epic tales we've been dropping for free, here's your chance to be a game changer. Swing by kofi.com/powerathlete and toss a few bucks our way to keep the podcast fueled and firing on all cylinders. That's ko-fi.com/powerathlete. Your support makes a difference. See ya.